In the White House, President Eisenhower signs the proclamation that makes Alaska's entry into the Union official, nearly 92 years after Lincoln's Secretary of State bought the territory from the Russian Tsar for $7 million.
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives. AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce cards, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They are the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Snow Pro AK, your snow and ice management company specializing in business and residential properties. They know what it takes to keep your property presentable and safe. Give them a call for a free estimate at 280-7098 or visit lawnproak.com. Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th, handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaskan public lands, waters, and wildlife. Their goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping our public lands wild. Stand up today and join BHA at backcountryhunters.org.
It got its own stickers.
Jeff, you gotta see these real quick. Oh, ooh, well done, dude.
I've been waiting.
You've
been waiting the entire time on the plane. 6 hours. I was in Wrangell. I was like,
oh
okay,
my god,
can I get 7 sparkling waters so I can practice? They were annoyed with me.
Ooh, damn, it was crispy one too, dude. So you've heard the mayor, right? Adrian.
Yeah,
he's been on. This is read the bottom.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, kind of says it all.
Another single guy out there.
Another single guy out there.
On the prowl.
They're kind of a sharp-looking sticker, though, right?
Yeah. Kind of a haunting background there.
Yeah, kind of mysterious.
Like he could disappear.
He's kind of a mysterious guy in general.
Miserable paradise style.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be really confident and comfortable in your own skin when you make your own stickers with your nickname that you made.
Yeah.
What was that SMF?
I'll make one for you. Just says Bud Bud. Jackie.
Oh, Bud with an extra side of Bud.
Bud and Jackie.
How about Budtastic?
Budtastic.
I like the Butteroni with extra cheese. That's actually my favorite.
There you go.
Butterlicious. There's a lot of buds out there.
Do you guys have high school nicknames?
Yes.
What was it?
Mine was.
Air
I had
burrito.
that was elementary. Elementary was air burrito, because for some reason I could dunk on like the smaller hoop, and I was like a little kid. In high school it was It was the
That's a good question, dude.
Yeah.
I know what it is. I can't think of
right from the
I
start.
love it, dude. Get it rolling.
the gazelle.
The gazelle.
Yeah.
You go from air burrito to a gazelle.
That had to be before the knee surgeries, though.
Oh yeah. Well, I had this hair, and I would like play soccer, and I was just like, I don't know,
It was
kinda
flowing?
dainty, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. A beautiful prance across the plains.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
You were
It was like a soccer nickname.
like, yeah, a prance, right? Like
Yeah.
Come on, man. Why you doing like that?
there's a prance. I mean, you're probably pretty too, man.
I
With a
was
cool
pretty.
outfit and shit.
You're just rapping as you run.
I wore the same shit in high school.
Like, oh,
My Sambas,
Sambas.
gray hoodie.
Nice, dude. You didn't have the shell toes?
Nah, player. That's not
No lucky
The real
jeans.
soccer players had the Sambas, bro, with the white tongue.
Oh,
Not the like all the other kids had the ones with the black. That's how you knew the real players from the fakes.
yeah.
Yeah.
The soccer players
With the
kinda
tongue,
got-
you know, you used to put it out on the thing.
Oh,
like
right,
that.
right.
It was a whole thing. You used
No
to like
dock
tie it
lines.
up at night, like dudes do their hats. You know, how guys curve their hats
Yeah.
Oh,
or
gotcha.
their
how you
baseball
do the
mitts
tongue.
or whatever. You used to do it with the soccer.
Yeah.
And you see it with hockey too.
Yeah.
You gotta let them know.
Yeah.
Gotta let them know.
It's like
That's right.
just like a sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was Fifel Goes West.
That's a long nickname.
Yeah.
Hey, Fifield goes west.
Well, you didn't remember the cartoon.
Oh yeah.
FGW.
Yeah, Fifel. And then because Fifield just went.
Fifi.
And then later on it was Frodo.
Frodo. Oh, because
Yeah,
your
'cause
hair.
of the hair, man.
God, pull up.
At
Can you
one-
send me a picture of that?
Yeah,
I got to
I'm gonna
do
see
some
one.
digging, man. But I used to have long curly hair down to my shoulder blades.
Oh.
It was fucking. I know. I mean,
Yeah,
can you
really?
even think
Good.
about? I wish I had it now with the beard. Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Oh
Be the
man,
hairiest
What was
man
your
alive.
band called?
Shit.
the Fiffies.
Fucking junk stack.
Junk stack.
I actually knew we hired a band for Bruce's 60th birthday years ago, and the band was called Junk Stack. It's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah.
I never did ask them how the hell they got that name, but
What was
they're
yours?
pretty badass.
Action Jackson.
Action Jackson.
Good, but easy. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. that was
Another
it.
long one.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Row.
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 Like
Damn.
ROE.
When I was in
Damn, you're
I
ready
think
to drop that shit.
6th grade,
Road Dog.
it was Jethro.
Okay.
Okay.
We read this book called Across 5 Aprils, and one of the main characters was Jethro, so they called me Jethro, and it got shortened to Row. So
That's
people
actually really cool.
Salmon Row, like no, just Row. Like my English teacher would write on my essays like Row, and then comma, like refer to me as Row, and
Oh, it's stuck
Yeah.
like that.
yeah, it was like full
My
on.
nickname was not like a teacher called me that
No,
shit.
I was
That
upset. I was the only person like who didn't have a nickname in middle school, and then I had the one that ended up really sticking. My buddy Rob still calls me Row.
Oh, that's cool.
awesome.
Yeah, so it just stuck. And
Yeah. I was rad.
You sign
in
your
the
books in
family.
row.
I should.
Yeah.
I should.
Is it ROE? Or
Typically,
ROW?
we decided that it was ROE.
Yeah, I feel
and
like
then
that fits.
but my English teacher said RO, so I was like, well,
Oh.
he teaches English, so. But he does
Yeah.
fish, so I would think that he would go ROE, but just RO. So
That's classy.
row. Yeah.
Bro. That's a way cooler nickname than all of ours.
Yeah.
That's why. I
All
brought
due
it up.
respect to you guys.
So
You guys'
actually, not
nicknames
really.
are cool.
I just
That's
kind of
why-
riffed off that, and I'm like, oh well, actually, mine's pretty good. I figured you guys would have really good ones. They're
You
not
don't get
bad.
to really
No.
choose your nickname.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I've given out some good ones.
I was J Law in college because the fraternity is shit, and so it's the law. That was,
What fraternity were you in? Are you still in? Because it's for life,
I
right?
guess.
Do you have the emblem on your arm?
Alpha.
No, Sigma Nu.
Huh?
Sigma Nu.
Sigma Nu?
Yeah.
Just the two?
Yeah.
Sigma
yeah,
Nu?
just the two. Yeah. Yep.
Man, that would have been kind of cool to
It
have
just
that.
happened to be the one my dad was in at a different school.
Oh.
I didn't pick it for that, but
You're pre-joined at birth.
Meant to be.
Legacy.
I actually wasn't
Yeah.
going to do it, but the guys were cool, so I did it.
That's funny. I did through all that, and there's like, you wait to see which one or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And there was like three.
How does that work? Can someone please
There's
elaborate?
It's a long, stupid
Yeah,
thing.
it is dumb.
But anyway, like three chose
wanna
me.
know.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, friends, like half the
gotta
soccer
get
kids
voted.
were on this one. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm going to go with the soccer kids.
Yeah.
But these other kids were cool too. And I ended up like going with these guys. And then I was like telling the other guys, I was like, so if I like choose these guys, I can't hang out with you guys? They're like, no, it's all good. I was like, okay, well, so I went to these guys, and then I didn't know you had to pay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
dude.
they don't tell you that. And then the first time they tried to pay, I was like, what? I was like, if I don't pay, I can't hang out. Like, no, you still can. So I didn't pay and do shit. I didn't join shit.
That's the way to do it, dude.
Still drink the beer.
Still
knocked
went to
on
all the
girls.
parties and didn't join anything. I couldn't call my mom. So there's this thing.
Yeah, I need $125 a month for a club membership.
She wouldn't even let me do, like, what was the high school dance thing?
Oh,
Cotillion?
Cotillion.
You couldn't do
dude.
cotillion?
Hell no, dude.
Oh,
We were
that
at
was
church,
so
dude.
fun.
We were at church. You gonna join a dance club?
Dance club.
Yeah, right, dude. You better join the church club.
That was actually really fun.
Hell yeah. It was
I would still go though.
Yeah.
How'd you get in?
The
The chaperones wouldn't let you in unless you were on
No,
the list.
because I knew the one of the teachers that ran it was the Spanish teacher, and she
Oh,
was
so you had
also
to
like the
in.
soccer mom of the school.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
She's
she
like,
would just
oh.
let me go, and I'd have to like sneak to go over there.
Yeah. For folks who are wondering, the cotillion was the. I kind of felt like it was the cool kid club.
I don't know. It was kind of mixed because other kids, like older brothers and stuff, would get in and they may not have been cool. Or the younger ones, you know, because the sibling automatically got in.
Okay, true.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but like the older sibling was probably cool.
It was a good mix, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's a cool kid club.
Well, let's elaborate a little bit. So basically, all the high schools in town had this thing called cotillion,
Yeah.
and they would have like a monthly dance at whatever the.
It's almost
wherever.
like promish.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
And then so you would get to see all your friends from the other schools or
Yeah.
meet other chicks from other schools.
Yeah.
That was the best part.
Yeah,
I agree.
but you had to pay it. You know,
Did we?
that became
Yeah, I
a
don't
problem.
remember the pay
I
part.
don't remember paying.
It wasn't a lot, but my
Yeah.
mom wasn't trying to.
I think it was once a semester.
I know you had to be
It wasn't
voted
a
in.
lot. Yeah, and it was weird too. It was like the parents voted or something.
No, the kids, the upperclassmen.
Is that how it went?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it was.
Because I got voted in, and I'm like, me? Like, y'all want me to come? I'm like, I guess.
I had no idea. I was like, I got called and I was like, oh, what is this? Was this a thing?
I had
They
a
say,
different, different high school experience down there in Kulak.
It's a 18th century French dance.
It was fun though. It was a good like thing
Or
to
a
meet other kids from other
formal
schools.
ball.
What, did you dress formal? Did you dance formal?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
dressed
it's
formal.
like a dress.
But did you dance?
No, no.
Was it like
No, you
17th
danced-
No,
century
it was,
Danced
French?
as
it was
dirty as
90s
possible.
grind music.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
there was
with
zero.
with a real fancy
Yeah.
name, cotillion.
yeah, no, it was.
My mind's telling me no, but my
But
body.
my body.
The parties were always
Every
at my
once in a
house
while, the mom
afterwards.
would come up and be like,
After
"Oh,
parties, those was cool.
Separate.
We
Yeah.
always had a nice one.
Yeah,
That's
there's,
when our crew would show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and beat everybody up.
We had
Giants tonight, boys.
Yeah, right.
Call
They
this
just
service
you
party.
got the crew that just like mills outside the cotillion
Just
in the
waiting
cars,
to
just waiting
follow.
for people to come.
They're like, I'm gonna fight that guy. Yeah, we were definitely
You danced
the
with my
no fight
girlfriend?
house. I was like, oh, you're trying to fight? You should go home.
No, well, then we were definitely fighting.
Those always fucking ruin the party, man.
Yeah,
Fights.
we did. It did ruin it a lot.
But it's usually after the beer ran out.
Yeah, or if you wanted to take the keg,
Oh,
Stole a lot
just
of
steal
kegs.
it.
Just
Yeah,
take it.
that'll really get a fight going. You go steal a keg.
Yeah.
Did that once.
Doesn't seem very kind.
No, I mean we did it, and it was like,
Definitely not.
oh, we stole the keg, and it just was a fucking bloodbath. And I'm like, dude, look at all. I mean, there's girls fighting. I mean, it was like, well, this. I mean, it was cool.
Over at St. Bart's, that happened?
No, this is out in Chugiak. St. Bart's came out to Chugiak and fucked some shit up.
That was your guys' arch enemies?
Nah.
East too, right? East and Bartlett
mean-
always had something.
Yeah, but I mean, the problem with that was that a lot of my homies went to East. So when everybody wanted to be like, look, East, I'm like, dude, half the dudes are my friends.
Yeah.
So I didn't really like that. But if we went to like Service or Chugiak, I'm like, I don't know anybody out here.
Yeah.
But then I would go to parties and meet other very common-minded dudes, with the lifted Chevy on 35s and a curved bill that said cock on it and a Carhartt jacket. And I'm like, hey, brother.
Let's hook up the tow rope.
I don't really think we should fight. We should actually like play tug of war with our trucks.
Yeah. That's good.
So you felt like the narrative was like enemies, and then you hung out with these guys and you're like, oh, you go hunting with your dad too? Okay, you like big trucks and football, and it's like we're all kind of the same, and we don't have to.
Yeah. My high school wasn't big enough to have groups. There was like one. There was the group.
Were you in
And
it?
that was pretty much it.
Was
I was
everybody in
an
it?
outlier. I was outside. No, it was. I think I graduated with 15 classmates. The high school was about 62, so we had kind of out of necessity, all of us that were going to go off to college or had aspirations of getting out of Cloak. We were the pep band, we were cross country, we were basketball, we were participating in everything, band. And so it was pretty cool to not have any sort of traditional barrier of if you're in basketball, you can't also be in band because that's two different groups that don't mesh together. So it was a cool experience. But it was nice to get out and just see, watching those like American Pie movies. I was like, that's high school. These kids are out of control, or any sort of high school sort of party, whatever. I'm like, these kids are really out of control. So I go to college and I'm like, all right,
Everyone's out of control.
University of Arizona. It was nice though, because my first year in the dorms, there happened to be
Is
a
that
couple.
Tucson?
Yeah, down in Tucson. There happened to be 5 or 6 people that ended up being my close friends, and they'd gotten out the whole go down to Nogales for the weekend out of their systems. Because I was like, there's a lot of freedom here, and I'm glad that they don't want to go down there because I don't want to end up in a Mexican prison or dead on the side of the road or anything like that. So it was nice that that was kind of out, and so I had a nice adjustment into college. They kind of calmed down a little bit, but it was definitely a shock, but it was fun. It was what I was looking for. But yeah, everybody else had stories about crazy high school stuff and the crosstown rivals and whatnot. So I feel in some regard I missed out on a lot of that because we only had obviously one high school in the town, but you have your experience and you live it and you good memories and move on. So
That's right. Yep. Welcome to Alaska Wild Project episode 122.
That's how it starts.
Today we have the homie Jeff Lund from the Mediocre Alaskan podcast, also the author of Miserable Paradise and the new book Beyond the Hunt.
Beyond the Hunt. Yeah.
Congrats on the second book.
Thanks.
3 books. Total.
3 books. Yeah. The first one was,
Oh yeah, that was like a diary kind of one, right?
yeah, it was moving back to Alaska. Some columns I'd written from down south and just kind of threw it all together. It's okay. I look back at it now and I think I've just grown as a writer now. And so if I would have written those stories now with just a better benefit of connecting with the audience, I think it would have been a better book. But these last 2 I'm pretty excited about, pretty happy about. And this last one about hunting it fills in a lot of those gaps that doesn't always get talked about. There's a lot of hunting stories, which are great. It's fun. But like you can pick up this book and you can go right to the industry section and read about podcasts, or you can read about content creation. You can read about YouTube, stuff like that. So I want to kind of get down some of those ideas because there's hunting and there's hunting industry and there's just a lot more about it. So that's what I wanted to write about.
Yeah, I've noticed over the last, year at least, you've been diving in towards the industry side of things, like kind of just pointing out maybe silly things or confusing things or interesting things that
Just calling out the bullshit too.
Yeah, some of that too.
Yeah, I think we need to support each other, number one. So I'm not one of those people who just talks a lot of trash to everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to define what your contribution to the industry is going to be. Because if you're just going to be someone who posts on Instagram, nothing wrong with that, do whatever you want. If you want to just make YouTube videos, do whatever you want, it's fine. But if you want to put out a product that there's going to be money involved or there's going to be some sort of creative something involved, I think you have to define what you want it to be. And there's some pitfalls that can come with that. And I think early on with the hunting and with the social media and with the writing, I got caught up in this more is better, bigger is better. And how can I make content and how can I get more people to watch and follow? And so sometimes when you put yourself in that situation, the ethics can be the thing that suffers. And you look at some of the stuff on social media, you look at some of the stuff on YouTube and you think, ooh, you do what you want. It's legal. It's, whatever you want to do, not calling that out. But, if you are trying to contribute something, then what are you trying to contribute? And I don't think that we can be naive to the fact that people are looking at what hunters are doing, and there's an active anti-hunting narrative, and it's less about you hunt, I don't want to, I don't feel like it, whatever. It's more you hunt, I don't think you should be able to hunt.
All right.
So I think being intentionally antagonistic toward anti-hunters is something that we should reflect upon. Again, do what you want, whatever you want to do. But I think that self-reflection can be beneficial to us, not only for hunting, but also in what we create. That can be more beneficial to other people. And what are we providing with other people rather than just amplify myself? And I've seen that with you guys, and I love the fact that it's clear what your purpose is and what your goal is to amplify other Alaskans. It's not create a podcast so we can get money, or we can go downtown and just people are going to know us. That's clearly not what you guys are about. And you can sense that in the questions that you ask, the people you have on, and then the conversations you have. And I think that reflection, you get more meaning out of it. Mm-hmm. You're excited to meet here and do these podcasts and talk to these people because it's fun and there's a purpose to it. It's fun. And I think that's something that if you're in the creative space with the outdoors, that's something to keep in mind. And so I kind of go into that in the book.
Really well said.
Yeah, I think also, when you're first, maybe you do want to get into it somehow, but you don't know exactly what your lane's going to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you just start off by posting whatever you got or making your own little videos or whatever, and then see what lane you fit in, or if you even want to pursue it or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So not to put down on the people that are just doing videos and
killing for the gram.
Killing for the gram. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a thing.
I think
it is until they started taking down your Instagram.
Yeah.
Well, no, I thought, you watched a hunting video or shows, back in the cable days, Jim Shockey Hunting Adventures, Greg Ritz, Hunt Masters. I loved those hunting shows. You want to talk about getting pumped and, finding something that drives you, and, I'm going to go and work out and train and start planning hunts. And it was something that I looked at as like, I want to get into that. Mm. The thrill of the kill, the thrill of the hunt, like that whole thing. And then I thought it was all about the picture of a game animal on something. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some sort of platform.
Sure. And that's, you're telling a story. And again, you watch that and you get motivated. I want to be in shape, because if you're in shape to hunt, that's just helping and improving your life too.
Oh, totally.
But in the Instagram thing, it also brought in this, people are taking pictures of turkeys at Taco Bell drive-thrus. It's like, that probably did not exist.
Yeah.
Beforehand. And there's kind of that line. Again, that's an ethical thing. That's not illegal. That's just one of the things that maybe, do whatever you want. But, if you reflect on that, I don't know. No one has done things that aren't questionable. Like, we all look back and think, ooh, that was probably a bad shot, or that was maybe, I didn't think that through.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Not to pretend that I am at all perfect, but I think that reflection is an important thing to kind of look at, to kind of refine our goal and why am I doing this, and if I am an unintentional ambassador to hunting, what's the message that I'm perceiving? And again, like, that's something I have to continually remind myself, because I'm not perfect. I don't have it figured out. Like, I think about these things and I write about these sort of things to kind of keep myself on track, to make sure that my motivations are as good as they can be.
Yeah, genuine to you.
Yeah.
Well, now without cable, I don't really see too many like hunting kind of shows.
No, that phased out.
The Meat Eater thing.
The Meat Eater was the only one.
Which is a little different.
Because it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
But before, like you said, like there was, what was the outdoor channel? Not outdoor. Well, that was one of them. Outdoor Network. And there was another one, and they had some really cool shows.
I recorded stuff through the day, and then we'd come home at night and watch it.
Yeah.
Get the family and the kids down for bed, and I'd go out there and watch a couple, an hour and a half, 3 episodes of something that I loved. And I was always waiting for that kill shot at the end and the pose with the animal. And I was like, oh man, I want a photo with the big moose and the big bear and the big sheep and all this stuff. But I wasn't really thinking it through as far as like what an actual contribution to it is versus like I can be noticed if I'm out harvesting and taking animals, and I could get into that. I'm in Alaska, I could do that. But then I quickly realized, I'm like, oh man, there's like a huge negative reaction to that stuff.
Yeah, there's some connotations for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not saying don't do all that. Like go take moose and caribou and bears and post them and do anything you want. But just what I've learned is that that's just like one small piece of what the entire industry, if you want to call it, like represents.
Yeah.
You know, it's really not about the taking of animals. It's about the camaraderie with people.
Yeah. There's a lot more to the story.
It's about enjoying the moment. It's
the first 27 minutes of the show.
Yeah. Or like the stuff
Right.
that's not in there, like where the kid like opens the freezer and it's like, hey dad, we're getting low on meat, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
we eat wild Alaska game, you know? And that stuff's not in there. It's a lifestyle. And it's really hard to portray that. And a lot of the folks I think that had tried to portray it may not be in the same situation as us, like as people that actually like we, you know, subsidize, we live off this, you know, this is our lifestyle, you know?
Yeah. I think there's a big difference too between like your East Coast hunting or your Eastern hunting, your Western hunting, and then your Alaska hunting.
Sure.
I think when you get in that marketing, I got to stand out. There's 150 elk podcasts. There's so many, everyone hunts elk. So how am I going to stand out? How can I, be different than everybody else? And up here in Alaska, it's like, man, your Southeast Alaska lifestyle is different than Anchorage, which is different than Fairbanks, which is different than Kotzebue or Nome. It's already individualized. So I think the temptation,
like regional.
yeah. Whereas down south, everyone's talking about the same stuff. So if you're going to stand out, you got to do something different or shocking. And with YouTube, there's no gatekeepers. You don't have to run it through or pitch something to the Outdoor Channel. You're just on the YouTube. And, and that's what you guys follow, Copper Plated Sixes or some of those. There are a couple accounts of people who just, they call out people in maybe some aggressive sort of ways. But, I might not agree with how it's done, but there are some things that maybe we should think about. And have you seen
people like what? Doing what?
It's the turkey in the parking lot type stuff.
So what happens in that? Like they killed turkeys and then went to Taco Bell?
They go to Taco Bell and like in the drive-thru, just like posing with their picture. They're on the lawn in front of Taco Bell.
Oh.
And so they're doing that or going into town or walking through town with a dead deer or through, with
just try to get shock value.
Yeah, kind of put it in people's faces. And then couple with
See, I don't like that.
Yeah.
No, there's a couple.
Is that like putting the bear on the front of the boat?
Yeah,
I don't
Or
want
the rack on top of the cooler in the back of the truck so everyone can see it?
Yeah, I mean that's actually kind of almost the same thing when you put it in that perspective.
Yeah.
I think
flashing the trophy.
And that's again, I think. I don't know, have you guys seen Blue Chips? This is a movie from the 90s
Nick
with Shaq and
Nolte.
whatnot.
Oh,
Yeah,
hell yeah.
great movie. There's a
Nick
scene
Nolte
when
was the coach. Right?
yeah, when he goes into that player's dorm room and says, he calls him out for taking money, and he says, "You took the purest thing in your life and you corrupted it." And so it's not exactly the same, but if we take that line and apply it to like, I love to hunt. It's about the story. It's about the experience. It's about being in shape the entire year. It's about being able to get up on top of Huffman Trail to do everything, from wherever.
Sailing to
Grayling fishing,
Yeah.
grayling fishing, everything up there.
Golfing.
But then if the motivation changes a little bit, and that's not to say like if you want to make money through sponsorships, it's great. I have a podcast and I have a book and I've ads and sponsors and whatnot. But if it goes too far, it becomes less of it. You've taken that thing that you love to do and you kind of sold out for the money, or you've undermined that own experience, that rich experience, and it's just kind of a scary thing. And there are a couple of times when, again, I thought, man, this road is not a good road to be on. Let's just do the thing. Let's just do the thing, enjoy the thing. And if you post, if you write, if people like it, then that's great. But don't try to make your column something that it's not. Don't try to be something that you're not. Don't try to, just if it happens, it happens. But don't push it out and don't corrupt it. And again, I think.
Don't fake it till you make it.
Yeah, don't fake it till you make it. And I think that applies a lot more in lower 48 than it does in Alaska necessarily. Because if, you're driving through town with a moose in the back of your truck, like that's kind of kind of expected here. It's part of the culture.
Right, normal.
There's a lot of people in Alaska who don't hunt, who don't want to hunt, but get it. We're like closer. Like those circles can intermingle, or they overlap a little bit. Like I know a hunter. I don't know. He's a good dude. Or I know this person that, she does this or she believes this, but it's okay because we can still kayak together. We don't have that. Yeah. You wear the red tie, blue tie, or you're in this, and so I can't be friends with you. And so it's, just kind of ponderings about that sort of stuff. Yeah.
That's a great point, man. Yeah, and you brought that up earlier with like the bear in the boat. Mm-hmm. So I've done that. I did that once. And in hindsight, I would like never do that again.
Like lay him up on the front.
Yeah, like brought it home on the bow of the boat. Just thought that was cool, like a moose rack.
Yeah.
I treated it the same, like Jeff said. Like if you drive through town and you just got back from wherever you hunted with your four-wheelers on the back of your boat and you got your horns. Mm-hmm. Like everybody rolls back with their horns or antlers on the
top of the gear, or top of the
because it's like a pride. It's so proud, and then you feel like most people in traffic are going to cheer you on, like right on. It just feels good, You're like and there's also the part of the celebration of bringing the harvest home to the family.
Mm-hmm. Sure,
and that's kind of where I thought it was, but the bear thing was different. It was more of like a bragging thing.
I think it still can be.
I'm okay. With the humility of admitting that.
Mm-hmm. But the answer doesn't have to be to never do that again. The answer can be just think about it, and you can still do it. It's like I shot this bear and I put it on the front. I'm just driving home. This isn't a big deal. I'm not taking it out at a Target or like wearing it into Cabela's or anything like that.
Right. It was definitely not to that
vegan
level.
Salad place. It's like, you know what?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this or that. Yeah. Sometimes it can be, I'm just going to think about it. And I did it again. It kind of spun it over in my brain a little bit. And you know what? I have no problem with having antlers in my
I didn't
truck
think about
or whatever.
That.
So.
And I'm sure there was a lot of people that were probably offended. Because I went to Girdwood and I roll up and then there's people taking pictures with it and shit. And I'm just like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, like, oh, these people are like embracing it. Mm-hmm. So I was just like extra like pumping myself up like, oh, this is so cool. And then in hindsight, I'm like, I don't think I'd do that again. Like I'll just roll it up and put it in a bag in the back of the truck. Like nobody needs to see all that.
But that's a personal ethics decision. I don't think there's anything wrong with
it's just like fast forward a few years later. I'm just like, I guess okay, to your point, I would think about it a little bit more versus just like act upon.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, that the last thing I want my book to be, or any column that I've ever written, the last thing I want it to be is a lecture. And I don't want it to be like, here's the answer. It's just things to think about. And it's the same thing with like teaching. When I got kids that were talking about stuff in class, it's not about coming to a conclusion. It's about, here's some information, we'll mull it over. And like that is it. You come up with your own conclusion. Your ethics are your ethics. What you're comfortable with, that's all up to you. Individual decision. I'm not the moral police. No one is the moral police. And people are going to get offended about anything. So if they choose to get offended about certain things, then that's kind of
on them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and we were talking about, we were dining tonight, like being subjective and how with the platform that we have, we want to be able to present information to people so they can form their own opinion on stuff versus just being like, we're just like pro mining, pro anti-mining, pro trawling, pro anti-trawling. Like it's like
pro anti-trawling.
Yeah. No, I am pro anti-trawling, like but I'm just gonna say I am that for sure. Every Alaskan should be
pro
anti-trawling. You don't want trawlers.
But not pro anti.
Okay, I'm pro anti-trawling.
I am pro that halibut sandwich we had.
You're just anti-trawling.
Yeah.
I'm anti-trawling.
Yeah.
Very proactively.
A lot of Alaskans make a living on it. So is there a way to do it in a way that isn't devastating to the environment?
This is forming an opinion that's not very educated though, and I'm going to admit that. Hence why you bring in people that know more than me and you and you and you and you to come talk about it so that the masses, including myself in those masses, can now form an opinion based on facts and data. Yeah. And information that isn't just in a emotionally charged lifelong Alaskan decision.
Yeah,
you know?
That's right.
Opinion.
We see that in Southeast Alaska with the logging. Obviously, we need habitat for fish to be able to spawn, and unbelievably important to saving species of fish. But then we also have loggers, and if you're in the lower 48, you might say, well, logging's got to go out, get rid of logging, it's bad, they just need to get another job. But if you're living on an island in Southeast Alaska, it's not as easy as I lost my job logging and I'm just going to drive to the next town to get a job. So it's not that complex. And so it's, how can we effectively have both?
Yeah.
How can we log effectively, responsibly, using the best science that we have, the best information, the best methods that we've had? Because, you know, there's some old growth or some second growth forests that are in just terrible shape down there because what was used at the time was just horrible. As far as regrowth. So how can we have logging so we have that resource, but also not use that as or at the expense of salmon spawning habitat? So how can we have both responsibly and good? Same thing with trawling. How can we alleviate some of these really difficult areas of these horrible practices, but how can we make it sustainable and make sure that we have Alaskans who depend upon that? We're not just saying, just get a new job, find another lifestyle. Hey, kid, your dad's going to be out of work, so just deal with it because at least we feel better about ourselves.
Diving into that logging thing a little bit, have the practices changed where they're actually pulling the stumps?
I think in some areas they're doing. They've really been looking at like the reseeding stuff and then the expense and then the buffer between the streams has been huge. And there used to be a practice of taking again, I'm not a Forest Service or biologist or anything like that, but I know the procedures used to take a lot of the downfall out of the rivers, but now it's like, no, they need that habitat. The fish need the habitat. And I actually noticed on the Russian River when I was up here with my wife for our honeymoon, there's that one side of the Russian River that you can't access if you're not on the platforms, the stairs that go down.
Yep.
I was
the
like,
revegetation areas.
Yeah, I was like, man, what a pain. But then you look at the other side and you think, oh man, both banks would look just like this. And where would a fish grow, be safe, anything? There's no habitat on the other side. And I don't know what the difference. One side is
They do it up and upper. It's on both sides of the river. Just that side that has the kind of the habitat restoration stuff in place. That side was worse than the other side, maybe like 15 or 20 years ago. Gotcha. And so they had to do that one first. I'm sure the other one will happen. Once they get like enough money and all that kind of stuff.
So both banks are owned by, is that state owned? Is that federal owned, or who's that?
State land.
State. Okay.
Yeah.
The
Forestry.
So, in Alaska, like we have like a lot of like highs and lows, and for loving this place and like really being devastated, like there's two things that are tied for me. It's like the king salmon, the Cook Inlet. I think we're all pretty crushed on that one. But
I'm sad for you.
But just as bad is the southeast logging that I've seen where they don't pull the stumps. I mean, now I'm into my 30th year of going back to some certain towns, and to see these like devastated areas that have never regrown because they didn't pull the stumps is insane. It just looks, it's like apocalyptic. Like a Yakutat is a perfect example. If you go take a drive out there to 9 Mile Bridge, it's 8 Mile Bridge, 9 Mile Bridge. It's heartbreaking, and it was the first time I took the trip there, and no change since, and it's because of poor logging procedures. Like, why wouldn't you pull stumps that are as big as a small house out of the ground?
So the stumps root ball doesn't allow for new growth.
Yep, that's right.
They prevent that.
Because I'm thinking if the tree's gone, now more light.
So like in
touching.
Normally, like if a tree falls, like those old trees, they fall and pull the roots out.
True.
Right. And so then everything can kind of decay. But now like you have this massive root ball that goes way wider in diameter than the tree. Way.
It's a web.
And, it's a web down there. And so then the stump remains, and then so do the roots. And so nothing ever grows in between them. You get these like dwarf trees, and then you come back a few years later and they're dead, and there's like more dwarf trees.
Yeah, there are a couple spots in the Ketchikan area where you can see where the logging was initially done. I don't know if they changed their practices a little bit, so you can see the old stump, but there's really quality, healthy second growth. And there's been some other areas that the reseeding, you just have these like really small pecker pole trees that are growing up, and there's no light that gets in. There's a really big canopy, and a lot of those areas are really susceptible to slides. And kind of based on where you go, you can see the different. And even I think there's
never recovers.
It's pretty bad. But again, you learn from certain things once things grow up, and they do grow really, really quickly back there comparatively to other areas. They can say, okay, well, this is probably not a very good idea, and let's try something else. So.
Like just maybe miscalculated or managed areas that just purely off of not knowing better.
Yeah, and that's you can go back and you can blame everybody for anything. You can go back and always.
That's what we do.
So
right?
It's like, well, let's learn from this, and so the next time we do things a little bit better. But, yeah,
that's right. We can only get better, but we also have to have a system in place where we actually make changes for the better when we see something that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And are held accountable.
Is that
for
still a really? We don't have to get too crazy in the long. Is it still a really thriving industry in the region?
Not nearly what it was. I remember growing up on Prince of Wales Island, Thorn Bay, Kaufman Cove, Knockety were really big logging towns. Clark was too. But once logging went out in the mid '90s, and Ketchikan had a pulp mill that was, I think it was a top 5, if not a top 10, if not top 5 polluter in the United States. But when the pulp mill closed, Ketchikan, that was a huge part of the economy. There's been different iterations. It's been mining, it's been fish, it's been logging. So when that
tourism
went
now,
out,
right?
There are, and that was kind of the Wild West in the late '90s, early 2000s. Like, how are we going to make any sort of money if we don't have logging? There are some families who never recovered. They weren't able to transition from the logging industry to anything else, and so. Those families are still kind of dealing with the poverty of that. They haven't really recovered from that, whereas other families pivoted, got into the industry, and now, there's a population of around 10 to 12,000 in Ketchikan in the surrounding area, and we'll have days where there's 14,000 people off cruise ships. And so now we're exploiting a new resource, because it's tour, and you want to go off your boat, and you have the charter fleet and the DIY fleet and all these other people. So we're straining that. There's no like local place where you can go and pick up some nice halibut or even rockfish. Some people are just going out and they're pillaging all that, which, all right, maybe it's better than logging, but now we're doing the fishing thing. And so it's
like the resource snatch just shifts.
And at the same time, it's like, how can you're going to know someone who's a logger, or a family who's a logger. Someone who's in the tourism industry. You guys know charter fishermen. You guys know subsistence people, people who rely on tourism. So you can't say, well, I don't want anybody to be you can't own a DIY fleet because I want to be able to go out in my boat and catch some fish. Or I don't want to have we got a limit on tours, or we shouldn't have tourists anymore. Well, we can't have it both ways. So it's super, super complex. So just thinking, considering there's a lot of information out there, mulling it over. I think that's kind of what we do.
Sounds like you should be the mayor of Ketchikan.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
You can run on.
I can't even believe I put it together that much. Usually, like writing it down, I can edit, but talking, like I don't know. Maybe when we play it back, it won't sound as good. But I think that sounded okay.
You nailed it, man. You nailed it.
Yeah,
you nailed
absolutely.
I was wondering about the different process from writing your articles versus like a book. Like, do you go into it differently, or is it kind of the same writing process?
I do the same length. My columns are about 600 words. If I write for a magazine, like if something I do for the Drake magazine or Alaska magazine, it's around 1,000 words, 800 words. So my chapters in my book are about that length. So I really like reading that too. So you can sit down and it's not a 10,000 word story that, can maybe have a tangent that you kind of get lost in. So I like that. I like to read that length. And then when I'm writing, I try to get the story told in about 1,000 words. So that way, when someone's reading it, they can kind of get the gist of it. It's not too long of a lecture, too long of a story. It's get to the point, what's important, what's not important. I think like when you're a freshman year, you're writing a narrative about what you did over the summer. And it's just like this horrible story about nothing. And it's all this
Just
description.
rambles on.
The first page and a half is about, and just all the details of packing the suitcase. And then we went fishing and came home. It's like, no, that was the most important part. Like you get tired of it and you just, I'm exhausted. And so like, what's the main part? What do I want to tell with this story? And so it has,
The body, right?
Yeah. So sometimes it's, maybe 1,500 words to 2,000 words. So, to answer the question, I just kind of went with that column length type stuff. And I've used some of the columns that I wrote for the Juneau Empire or for other magazines, and I incorporated those in there. But there's a lot of other stuff I hadn't written about that I put in there. So it's structured in that way, which makes it a lot easier to write. So I can write the entire thing, that chapter, and then come back to it. It's a lot easier to edit. I don't get lost in a lot of the editing this type of stuff, and it's easier to compile and easier for me to edit too.
How do you like discipline yourself to, get it done? Like, do you have a goal? Like, hey, I'm going to write this much a day, or
Shot collar, or
Just a big ass alarm. Okay, shut her down.
peanut butter jelly time? Peanut butter jelly time.
Yeah, like if I write 1,000 words, I get a double shovel cider.
Oh,
I get
there we go.
No, I try to write every day. That's just kind of the thing, or edit every day. Just do some progress every day. There are people who say, write 1,000 words every day, or write 2 pages every day, or write 1 page every day. But some days you don't have a whole page in you. Mm-hmm. So I just write something. So it's better to write like a couple of good thoughts or ideas down, and I can count that. So I can count as like a win. It's not a half win or a quarter win. Like I got a thought down, because that thought sometimes after you marinate, you crock pot it a little bit, you come back to it. It's like, okay, that's something to explore
Circle
later.
back
So
on. Yeah. Is the writing a combination or specific to actual like writing in a notepad, or a phone note, or a computer? Like what? There's a combination of everything.
yeah, whatever I have accessible. There's sometimes where I'd be
Okay.
reading a book about fly fishing, and then I'm like writing in the book on the back, because it just like spurs something. There's someone that went on a fly fishing trip in the Gunnison River Valley or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But there's just a detail, or there's something like, oh, that's a really good idea. And it makes me think about something at a river on Prince of Wales or something like that. So I write down my thoughts and ideas in a book. Notepad, sometimes I'm on a phone. So when I'm out in Ketchikan, if I'm like eating dinner and I'm kind of on my phone and I see a student, like, Mr. Lund, you're texting. I'm not texting, I'm writing a book. And they're like, why do you lie to my face? But yeah, you just got to write it down, because I'm sure the same thing with like business ideas and whatnot, or podcast ideas. You have an idea, like, oh, I'm not going to forget it.
And
then it's gone.
you have to write it down.
Yeah.
To think that it'll like come back.
Yeah.
It's so hard to actually have that happen.
Yeah. Any sort of creative anything, if you don't write it down, like you're about ready to fall asleep.
listen.
Yeah. Or take pictures. If you're out, you're adventuring.
What about set reminder?
Set
That's what
reminder.
Brandon
You
likes
gotta
to
do
do.
it.
Dude, I
He
have.
just sets the reminder instead of writing it down.
You know what I
And
went
he
to?
forgets it until the reminder, and then it's
And then it's gone at that
Oh.
point, probably.
Oh, the reminder's great, because then I can be like, reminder, forget. Okay, good.
Yeah.
That'll remind me.
Reminded you of everything you lost.
No pressure. Thank God.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing alarms.
oh,
Just
man.
a full fucking alarm. Like
Dude, the to-do
tomorrow,
note is
10
the best.
a.m. Yo, you need to call this guy back. Like, all right. Like, because I
Straight
will.
alarms.
I set alarms, dude,
Oh my
because they're super obnoxious.
Yeah.
And they piss me off.
Fine,
I'm
I'll
like,
do
God
it.
damn it. All right, that's true. I need to get back to that. All right.
How has being
The snooze
podcasters
6 times. I do it too.
How does being podcasters impact like your creativity and your everyday experience? Because you had jobs, and then you include this, or you're just using a different part of your brain. You're thinking different creatively. So how has that impacted like other areas of your life?
It's made a huge impact tremendously on me as far as social interactions with other people. Once there's just one little inkling that there's like some common interest or something interesting about a person, now I'm just like peeling the layer back, peeling the layer back,
Got an onion.
peeling the layer back. Hey, would you want to come on a podcast and talk about that?
Targets.
I just, an old friend of mine forever, she's a badass rodeo horse barrel racer. I know she does it. She loves it. And she spent a week in Kenai with like the Wayne Gretzky of female barrel racing. she came up and did a clinic. And for that community, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. And in Alaska, it's not ginormous, but there's a very strong following.
There's a huge equestrian community here.
Right. In the rodeo life. There you go, Jeff. Yeah. What? Anyway, we just got done with her car and we're chopping it up, and she's telling me about her weekend, and I'm like, we haven't promoted anything about rodeo, horse racing, anything of that nature. And it didn't even
horse hunting.
It didn't even occur to me until we had that conversation. So to answer your question, those simple, like just a social interaction with somebody will spur what could be an amazing conversation on a podcast.
Yeah, it's cool to find out what someone's thing is.
So I'm always just like, I'm just, I guess my ears always perked up.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm always ready to, like, I guess just be more engaged in the moment with that person, not necessarily as a motivation to get them on the podcast as a guest to benefit from it, but just in general, I guess it just created maybe something where I appreciate people more.
Yeah.
And what they have to say and what they have going on in their story and their path. And so a little long-winded answer to the question.
Yeah. I could see that for you, though. Your circle's pretty small.
Yeah. No, it is. And that's been my lifestyle. I've always kind of kept things kind of tight. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was the way I liked it. You fast forward the last 5 years of my life, I've curved that narrative. And now I like the expansion of more friends and connections and people. And I didn't really know that I wanted that, but now I love it. Like, I didn't know that that's what I wanted. I like the tight-knit group. It's less complicated, You
feel safer.
It feels safer. It's a comfort zone,
It's natural, man.
There you go.
There it is.
That's the cool thing too. Like, so sweet.
Hold my hand.
The types of people that you have on the podcast are types of people that get after it too. And so you might not have the exact same things in common, but you're the type of person who gets after it. And you're talking with other people who get after it in a different realm, and you can't help but be positively impacted. Like, it's that common trait or that common productivity, that shared idea, that shared value. And that's so awesome to be around those sorts of people.
It is. It's motivating. And then there was a time maybe where I was a little bit more maybe jealous and envious of one's adventurous lifestyle, where I was like, these assholes, man, they got so much time on their hands and they're doing all this shit. And but now I embrace it. Mm-hmm. I almost live kind of vicariously through that and be excited and cheer them on versus being like instead of being a hater.
Yeah.
And I wasn't being a hater because I'm an asshole. I just was like, kind of just envious. And now it's you curve your mindset to being like, man, go get that whatever you do,
And part of it is like the widespread activity. Like, you couldn't do it in a lifetime. Like,
exactly. You can't do it all.
Like, learning how to mush dogs, to like running the Iditarod, to Dana climbing McKinley, life in Southeast, like these dudes.
There's just things you're never gonna do.
Crazy shit. And then people like spending their whole life like starting a food business. Like Heather, I mean, you get like this. Like, the best thing about Alaska is being here and experiencing things, but you can't experience it all. So you get to like see what they're doing and shine a light into like what they're up to and the passion that drives them and their experience that let them take that chance or the risk or whatever to get them in that position where they're ready to jump and do it. And that's fucking rad.
Yeah,
totally.
The sharing part of it is what I appreciate a lot. Like, sharing what these other people are doing. That's so cool. Because you'll get like a random whatever. Like, let's say the other day I was at lunch and like Brock from 36, he's like, oh man,
I saw you got him on the calendar.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. Sweet.
And he was like, he just mentioned one show that was like, oh man, I think it was actually Meg's show. He's like, man, that one Meg girl you had on with the thing. I was like, that was like the coolest show, man. I didn't know about this and that and that and this. And I was like, yeah man, she's a rad chick. It just made me feel like, oh, that was cool that some other random person was like inspired by something that they heard.
Yeah, the inspiration that can be created, even if that one guest or person or conversation inspires just one person to get out of their shell or what was it? You sent us a comment on YouTube where a guy was living the grind and he bought like some 4-wheelers and some toys and he's just grinding away and he just never has time to get out and play. So he's like, you know what? Fuck it, man. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go get a job on the slope because I want like chunks of time off. And this works, you know, hit and miss for everybody. It's not necessarily the route, but for this particular individual, he said, you know what? I want a slope job so I can have that chunk of time off. And now he's like living his best life. For that chunk of time he has off where he can spend quality time with his family and his kids, going out riding and boating and fishing. And, you know, like for him, he realized like, oh, you know, living for the weekend wasn't really what I needed to be doing. I needed to, you know, and there's a fair share of time and chunks of time missed for that. But again, my point is that a conversation in this podcast inspired somebody to make a life-changing decision that is seemingly a positive for that person. Yeah. And that makes you feel so good, man.
Yeah.
You know,
one of the cool things about the podcast too is, and one of the reasons why I started mine was there's a lot of podcasts out there where high achievers are talking to other high achievers. Whereas there's so many people, there's staggering amount of people in Alaska who are just crushing it on a level that people don't really know about and they don't really care about it. I'm not trying to keep up with some sort of YouTube or social media following. I just crush it. And some of the best hunters you guys probably know are people who don't even have social media, don't even care about it. I care about the thing. I don't care about marketing it. So to be able to
so
just,
under the radar.
Just talk to your ordinary Alaskan in a lot of cases is just real kick ass. And people can listen and think, oh yeah, this is great. Or, you know, just you have other jobs, and so like you're out there, you're fishing, you're hunting when you have time, but your number one priority is your dad, your mom, your husband, wife, and then you have your job too. So you can do all those things well. It's not about doing all this outside stuff at the expense of your family or the expense of your job or at the expense of whatever. I'm trying to fill my life with all these experiences so that I look cool when it's actually kind of empty, and that's kind of sad.
Yep.
Well, speaking about the job, serious.
Man, that is really well said, because I think earlier on, as a parent and as a partner, I didn't realize that the drive and the motivation to get out and tear it up was coming at the expense of time spent with family and kids. Because you want to have kids and a family, you want that, but then you want to get out and fish and hunt and play. And, you know, it's not really that great when you come home and your wife's pissed off at you because you've been gone for 3 weekends in a row. Like, it fills your tank, but what's it doing to everybody around you? And it's like a hard balance, because it's easy to be just selfish and do your own thing. But you said it best, that comes at the expense. Like that hit pretty close to home there.
Well, it doesn't have to. I mean, it can be like
right. You can balance it out.
100%.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities in Alaska.
Sometimes you learn the hard way, though.
You can bring the kids and introduce them to the real Alaska at whatever age. It's there's stuff in Alaska that's age appropriate for everyone. So there's like a blend that mixes with like your lifestyle and your family. Yeah, that works, and it's like you gotta figure it out. But like, it's the first time you're being a dad, dude. First time we all are dads.
You're
like,
just doing the best. You're doing it the best you know how, and it may not be the best.
And sometimes we don't get what we want. Like, sometimes we don't get a limit out on Kings, and instead we go like hike some peaks and fucking play with lightsabers, you know?
Sure.
And that's just what we do.
That's right. In the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Well said.
Totally.
As you left the tent out there.
Shit.
That's awesome. Did you see the Sunday storm?
I haven't looked, man. I was going to wait until tomorrow. Fuck.
Yeah, so
this guy's talking all that and left the tent out there so you can
come back Saturday.
Tent, honey. Go back and get it.
Yeah.
Sunday.
Well, he picked me up from the airport today. Didn't have to, so I appreciated that, and he ran me by the hotel. So yeah, I got cool. nothing bad to say about Brandon or any of you guys. So
I was pumped for that, man. It was cool that you were coming in and
Yes,
It came fast because we put you on the calendar, and we were talking about the book signing at the Shovel, and I mean June just came, and now I'm looking at the agenda and all, and the master note and what we have coming up. And I'm like, fuck, dude, like you're gonna be here tomorrow.
Yeah. And I'm going to be gone tomorrow. It seems like it's going to go so fast.
Yeah, well,
it's going to be so much fun. But that's what the summers do, man.
Oh, it just flies.
They show up, and then all of a sudden, it's just
you got to pack it in, man.
Oh, you got to do it.
Enjoy it day by day.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come right back with some more Lund action.
Barney Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. Barney specializes in supplying hunters with the absolute best Alaskan-proven gear on the market for some of nature's most rugged and demanding terrain. Whether you're headed to the remote volcanic islands of the Alaska Peninsula in search of a brown bear, or the shale-infested glacial valleys of the Brooks Range for Dall sheep, it is critical you choose the right gear for your dream hunt. Don't miss Barney's exclusive brand, Frontier Gear of Alaska, tested from the high mountains of Tajikistan to the extreme conditions of Alaska. These products were designed for high performance and durability. Frontier Gear was derived from decades of experience hunting big game in Alaska. Paired with other top brands, it provides you the absolute best gear selection anywhere in the world. Stop in at Barney Sports Chalet in Anchorage on Northern Lights, or check out their custom website and reference tool at barneysports.com.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaska public lands, waters, and wildlife. From national level policy work to engagement with boots on the ground projects from Juneau Ketchikan, BHA performs public land cleanups, hunting and fishing clinics, and community education to help take your game to the next level. BHA's community-minded goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping wildlands wild and fostering the next generation of sportsmen and women for years to come. Make sure to follow BHA Alaska for upcoming events, local brewery pint nights, and more. Stand up for Alaska public lands and waters by supporting the Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. Join us today at backcountryhunters.org.
The Treehouse AK, your one-stop dispensary located at 341 Boniface Parkway. Be sure to ask the bud tender about their deal of the day, because honestly, there's always something good on deck. And guys, listen, this is where the culture lives. At the Treehouse, their dedication to servicing consumers has been developed through a lifetime of involvement in the cannabis culture. They're committed to providing the highest quality products at whatever value your budget affords, while always maintaining the deep-rooted principles that have carried them this far. Their focus is on relationships over transactions, and you can always depend on them to treat you with the respect you deserve. Hit them up at thetreehouseak.com, and remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their store.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But doesn't college seem like the
time to try it?
Yeah. Time to try a lot of things.
Find some boundaries. But
yeah, find out what you're really made of.
I was always worried about testing that line, getting over that line, and redrawing that line so far that there were a couple kids in the dorm that I just saw how like out of control they were, and it kind of freaked me out. And then I always had this.
That was me.
If I didn't want to have to go back to Klawock. I love Klawock, but that wasn't going to be best for me in my like 20s and 30s, and there wasn't going to be a career and a future there for me. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to stay out. So I was pretty conservative and pretty scared of ruining my life because I thought that I might.
I was one of those that just broke out of the jail, parent jail, church jail. Just went full
let loose,
full mayhem.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were cooped up.
Yep.
That's like when you got to college.
Oh yeah, dude.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Blurriest year of my life.
I feel like we like Alaska
Mommy can't
doesn't
tell me what to do.
Doesn't do a good job about like I feel like some other states do a better job of like sheltering kids. like Alaska does a good job of like letting kids be wild, but don't teach them how to use things appropriately. So like when we went to college, I felt like all the partying was done and I was ready to do school. And then all these other kids that had never partied before were like, we're here to party. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to see ya. I'm going to the library. I'll see you later.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I'm good. You know, like I'm still going to have fun, but I'm going to do it appropriately.
Johnny Law. That's
Man.
when Jackie Law came out.
Yeah. Then the law came down and brought down the hammer. I was like, freshman, you're going to get straight A's. Yeah. Clean that shit up.
I remember you talking about that. That's a good point because I think just Alaskan kids party.
They do. And then, I mean, America in general does a horrible job on being like, hey, this is how you appropriately use marijuana. This is when you might want to use marijuana. And the same thing goes for mushrooms or alcohol. You know, it's like, why aren't kids like being taught like, hey, you have one beer or whatever with dinner and you enjoy it and you stop. And instead, since their parents don't teach them this shit, they go and drink a whole fucking case or a whole bottle of peppermint schnapps and throw up. And then, you know, all this crazy shit. And it's just like, okay, if we would just be a little bit more open to like, hey, there is appropriate use of all this stuff. And then ownership as a parent, instead of like sheltering them and helicoptering them, being like, hey, I'm going to introduce this to you. And I'm going to teach you why when it's okay, when it's not okay, appropriate use, non-appropriate use, and then maybe we like won't have like all this crazy Alaska over. Yeah.
So what age are you gonna light the joint up with the twins?
I almost think it's yeah. I can't do it. I can be
Taxi.
I can be with
out the fire.
I can be with one person on that. So like let's that's never gonna happen. But I'll teach him about it.
Right.
You know, for sure.
Go visit your Uncle Daniel.
Yeah, I'll be so out of it. I'll be like, I'll take like the little nibble, and then I'll show you why my body can't handle this. Like,
I think it comes down to kind of values. In those other countries, it's, you know, a glass of wine with dinner is part of the culture,
right?
And so what it leads to is just a glass of wine with the meal, a beer with a meal. Whereas here in our indulgent culture, it's just wild.
Yeah.
And now social media, it's even
That's
worse.
Wild
Like
West.
how it's you know, the movies, everything else. So I think a lot of the kids who can be maybe more mature with their pushing of their limits or might not push too far, the people who have values and how is this in line. It's not that I never do anything, it's that let me just be reflective. Let's self-aware. So self-awareness and reflection, like that's in so many different contexts, such a huge thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of nailed it there.
That's pretty deep, Jeff.
And you're getting like everything that I wasn't able to finish out with the students, or that my students didn't listen to in May. I'm like trying to say it now.
Two adults that are all just like,
You're gonna send them all the link to the to this podcast.
Yeah.
And I forgot to tell you.
Yeah. Well, that's I think a lot of
to
it.
the segment after the break.
Yeah. You talk to kids about and you try to help them because we're all jacked up as adults. Like we're screwed up. We screwed up. We did bad things, and so we're trying to help kids not make those
our
mistakes,
lessons.
right? Yeah, but it never works because we're recycling our experiences, but they want to have the experiences.
Yep.
And it's always just different enough to where they can't recognize. It's like, well, okay, if it's ever 1999 and you were doing this, like, well, it doesn't apply because everything is different. So you try to do that and you try to help kids out. And but anyway, so I give kids those talks knowing that some of the kids are going to listen and other kids are like, oh, gosh.
Here we
I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to go vape and make a TikTok. And
I bet he still thinks Tool's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's funny. So how's the podcast going? Well, how many episodes you got now?
347, I think. Something like that.
Damn.
I started in 2017. It's fun, for the same reasons that we talked about stuff. There's some episodes that are kind of stinkers. I think this is the solo episodes where you don't have time to kind of process. Like, well, when you use talking, I'm like processing what you're saying. And then I can think about a response. We're doing solo episodes. There's no time to process. You're just kind of going and just hope you're grasping at something and you hope that you make some sort of point. But again, for the same reasons you guys like it, like the people that I've been able to talk to, and they're like you guys. I mean, it's just so when you guys started out and you guys had me on, that was one of those moments in the podcast where I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? What am I doing with this? Where is this going? And I just saw how what you guys were bringing to it, who you were having on, how excited you were, and how you guys went all in on it, but without that attitude of, we're going to quit our jobs just to do this podcast. It was like, we're going to do other things in our life. Other things are definitely important too. This is something we're going to put on top of all that and try to make our schedule efficient enough to do all these things well, which was sweet. And it was really motivating. So between you guys and Tyler Friel, it's really cool to be able to feel that I'm helping to give a voice to Alaskans, even though I talk to a lot of people down south too, but it's just fun to talk to people. And staying with a lot of podcasts, you know, they don't last. A lot of stuff happens for, you know, whatever reasons, but it's been a lot of fun to listen to you guys and poach some of your guests and have them on and just like listen and think about stuff and questions to ask and different people to have. And it's been a lot of fun to track people down. And
Yeah. Is there one that stands out?
Stories.
Is there a standout in that 300 and
I think the wife ones are pretty funny.
the wife ones?
Yeah, there's sometimes she'll say something, and at first she didn't want to be.
Do
on
you
the
still
podcast.
zoom her in?
No.
All right, honey, you go in the other room.
Yeah. It's been fun to just talk to her and chat about that and kind of have that, you know, a podcast with your wife is kind of a cool thing to, you know, we can talk about the hunt and we don't really talk about or like plan what we're going to talk about. So it's fun to just recap the hunt. And then there's the story I thought would be told, and there's like her perception of the story. And I think, those were not the same. But so that's been a lot of fun.
Welcome to marriage.
Hey, nice plug.
Yeah.
Shout out, giving wifey.
Yeah,
What, 1 year coming up?
That was a smart response.
2 years.
2 years coming
Yeah.
up. Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah,
Was
it's been fun.
Were you here 2 summers ago?
Yeah, it was 2 summers ago on the, and that was another thing cool because that was
You guys got to meet, right?
Yeah, I met went and got some caribou dogs, and then you gave us a tour of Double Shovel,
Yeah, it was
and that was
super
really cool.
fun. Abby was great.
Yeah, because she understands the science stuff.
Yeah, she was super like
I don't.
nerdy like we are, so it was great. Like nerdy in a wonderful, awesome way.
Yeah, and one of my eyes was rolling back in my head because I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, speaking Japanese and shit.
Okay,
Yeah.
fermentation, okay, and then carbon, and then using that to add. Okay, that sounds like a really good, cool thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it was.
Make a tasty beverage.
something for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, and
It was a fun day. I was glad you guys stopped by.
yeah. The repeat podcast people are pretty fun because you get to know them a little bit different. And I think if like the first podcast when I was a guest here, well, I wasn't here. It was you haven't done any other remote ones, right? Is that the only one that you've done that?
We did do Billy Malls over the phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Totally different feel. So that's another thing that I liked that you guys have stuck to that standard of let's have the people in here. Let's focus on that, which has been really cool.
Yeah, people open up when you're here, and it's super chill. So like that onion peels back a little deeper and a little easier.
Yeah, you turn up the heat in here. I'm sweating.
You could take your hoodie off.
Yeah, I know it's true. It's my fault.
Yeah. Ciders will do that though.
Yeah.
It does get hot in here. Actually, we should open that door up.
There's a lot of
airflow.
good
I'll
ones
go
for
open
like
it up.
different reasons. I'm sure you had those too, where some people have really, really good stories, and so it's like a really fun, entertaining one. Whereas other times it's like this is a really good, like value type one. It's like this was like we hit some really good stuff there, whereas this one was just a great time.
Is there someone out there that you really want to get? I mean, we keep an ongoing list of possible guests or people we want to do. None are really outlandish. I have a couple outlandish ones that I want to get on, but I'm curious on who you.
I think some of those hunting ones would be great, but then the fear is always, they say never to meet your hero, because there could be the perception of what you think this person's going to be, and when you get them and sit them down and talk, they don't have the time for you. They don't respect it. They're like, oh, you get to talk to me for 42 more minutes until I will leave. So I think some of the big hunters, and it'd be interesting to talk to Steve Ranella, Cam Haynes.
Totally.
It would be, I can't even imagine how catastrophic the fail would be if I was like on Rogan's or Rogan was on mine. Like, hey, Rogan, Joe Rogan, can you just call me and I'll zoom you in? You're like, what up? What up? Hey man, so what are you doing? You like mushrooms and elk and that's awesome, man. Remember when you were
How's the UFC going?
on Fear Factor? That was awesome. You remember that SNL bit with Chris Farley? Yeah, same thing. Yeah,
that's funny because like the ones I think like nothing to do with honey. Like I want to get Jewel on just for some.
Oh yeah, sweet.
Just because she's crazy.
Yeah, her interview was great
on
Rogan.
Yeah.
She's great. The Alaskan thing, the imperfection. Like I remember when I was in high school, like the fact that she had that one tooth that was a little off. I found that so endearing because she was like
Snaggle,
like a real person. Like she's not all made up and whatnot. And I think she really, and that was part of her charm. I think that she was very talented, very Alaskan, and yeah, I think that would be a really cool one. I have a lot of Jewel and Alanis Morissette lyrics like in my brain somehow. Like it just like,
oh shit,
how do I know that song so well? Same thing with like, your early 2000s, 90s. Like I know a lot of Eminem. I know a lot of just random stuff that just absorbs somehow. And yeah, I don't know, but yeah, that'd be a good one.
You gotta set an alarm like Brandon. Get that right out of there,
man.
That's right. who else is on your list of people to have on?
There's a long list of people we want to get that are doable. That was just one crazy one. Another crazy one was I wouldn't say crazy. I have to look at the list, but that was the standout one, just because she's wild.
Yeah.
For some reason, I don't know if that would be all that crazy. I just don't know.
No, I wouldn't. Not crazy. I just think that she's wild.
Yeah,
and I want to get some stories that are like, Yeah.
But as far as like obtaining that, she seems like the type of person who wouldn't be above the experience. It's just a matter of reaching some of those people in that stratosphere. It can be hard to.
Yeah.
How do you get into their
how do you
radar?
get in touch? Yeah, how do you even get in touch with them?
Yeah, how do you email or send a DM? Like, no, it's not going to happen. Different stratosphere.
Well, I would think it would be really dope to have.
You don't think I sent her a DM?
Hey, it's Daniel again.
Hey,
hey, it's the Gazelle.
It's Air Burrito. Hey,
now the
at Air Burrito's got a separate Instagram nobody knows about.
Yeah, bird.
I'm thinking about that, and because we're just really, I mean, not that the Rennells and the Rogans and they're not grassroots, but this is like really truly
Alaska,
like shit out of the garage type, And I know those guys all started their pods, ground level, one way, shape, or form. But I would just love, because I know. I just feel like I know, listening to those guys, and obviously they have like a lot going on in their lives. They're pretty big time, but I'm pretty sure you get them in this room and they're just another awesome dude to have a conversation with.
I'd hope so.
And that's where I feel like that would come through if we were able to get some of those high profile podcaster, celebrity type guys on here, even though I know they got, man, I can only imagine what's running through their head every day and what they're dealing with. But I feel like this vibe, this place, this room makes it just have a beer, crack it open.
Yeah.
We're just all on the same level here. It's
I think the questions you would ask them too would bring them back to when they were at this point, not to like be we are so far below them as far as podcasts or creators, but obviously they've ascended to a different level. And so rather than a high achiever or a millionaire hunter for a living,
There's some that are
talking to another, those people talking about, when I was in New Mexico and I killed this bull and then I killed this. I think we would ask different questions that would bring them back to it, and it would be a different angle that people wouldn't hear. So I think that would be something that would be a super interesting listen, because it's not just about this one time I was here and I killed this bull, this one time I was here and I killed this deer. So I think it could be a pretty cool, interesting one. But some of the big people in the industries, they're just not who they seem to be, and you'd hope that it would bring out that cool, humble beginner, but you never know.
Jackie, you got somebody?
Enthusiastic.
Yeah, Uncle Ted,
I was just thinking that one.
but other than Uncle Ted, like the real like we've got to meet so many rad people, and like my big gap is like a true, authentic native leader, that's trying to like mend like the old ways of living and like maintaining like what they know as Alaska and their Alaska with like the modern influence. Man, like one of these true elders would be so rad. And yeah, we've had kind of like opportunities to get kind of close to it, but we haven't really.
Alice has come on.
Like had like one of the leader of the community be able to come in and talk about like their full life experience and like what they see for the future and what they've done so far, and because there's a lot of lessons for us in that. And I mean that's like a message that like I think all of Alaskans like respect, but we don't get to hear. So it's like we know to respect it, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah. That was an awesome thing about growing up in Klawock was that it was probably 60-40 native to white.
Yeah.
And so I remember native art class, we had native art from kindergarten up through middle school, and there was a high school class you could take, but there was so limited offerings based on teachers, like you couldn't get in there. But I remember John Rowan in native art telling Kushtaka stories. I'm like, John, I have a knife in my hand. Like, you can't be telling me these scary stories about the Kushtaka, man. But man, he's just an unbelievable wealth of knowledge. A master carver. He's carving all those totems, but he doesn't get any like credit. I think Time Magazine interviewed him once for some of the caves that have stuff on Prince of Wales. But I mean, he just when people talk about looking at a piece of wood and being able to see the totem that's going to be carved, or seeing the work of art. And we have the first halibut bowl that he ever carved. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. At the time, he was just kind of, he's just kind of starting out. But now that we have that, and he's, selling stuff for thousands of dollars because he's just a really, really good artist. But he doesn't have a social media, anything like that. He's just that old school, does the thing, master. Such a great example of, he wakes up, gets on Facebook, and says good morning to everybody as he has his cup of coffee at 4:30 in the morning. Then he goes and he carves, and just retired. And he was the custodian at the high school.
Oh, that's
goes
so
from
rad.
Custodian to full-time native art teacher. Just an amazing human being. And then he knows the culture of Klawock in the old days, and just the kindest, friendliest person. And he's that bridging honoring the traditional, but also in the modern time, utilizing the best of capitalism without, again, manipulating, undermining, or corrupting. There's some unbelievable people out there that are so great. And I'm so happy that I was able to grow up in a town like that because of those values and the respecting the elders. And how many times we go to basketball games and there were seats that were reserved for the elders, and everybody respected that. It was just part of it. And so as a kid, I learned so much from that, and it was such an important thing. And I go home now, and they say, people from Klawock say, welcome home. And it's just such a warm greeting to be back. And I mean, obviously there's, we were a white family in Klawock, but it didn't matter. The people that we were accepted, like we're all chieftains. It was just being asked to speak at graduation was crazy there. I'm just like, wow, whoa, what's going on here? But yeah, I think that's a voice of Alaska. It's great that it is being more amplified, and the value you get from people who are able to talk about it in a good way is really cool.
What's the best place to get a beer in Klawock?
There's no bars. There's
Zero bars?
Zero bars. There's a grocery store. There's a liquor store. So I guess the best place to get a beer is there. Yeah.
I mean, the question, I'm sorry, I was laughing over here so hard because I'm like, it just has to be one place.
Yeah.
It's like,
I know.
it's like Uncle Joe's, man. Like, he's got the best beer.
The grocery store.
Shit, man.
There's no hot dog stands out there.
No hot dog stands.
It's prime property for that.
Yeah.
So moving to Ketchikan was like going into the city.
Yeah, I had to
moving out the hood.
Stop off at college in Tucson. That I taught in California for a couple of years, so I had that. But moving home was it was so great. Ketchikan is awesome.
Yeah.
The outdoor
Maybe the best of both worlds ish. We're still the tight knit, but
it's pretty tight.
Too.
It depends on, same probably thing with Anchorage. You're talking with some really high achieving, like some of the best of Alaska has to offer is here as far as entrepreneurs. Some of the people you've had on are just truly remarkable people. But there's also, when we drove by the Sullivan Arena, I was like, oh, there's where we never went to state. Like we never played there because we always lost at regions. We never got to play there. And now, then it was a homeless shelter, and there's a lot of other stuff that's kind of, there's that unfortunate side of the downside of society. And so in Ketchikan, it's the same thing. You have the great, awesome entrepreneur, business owning friends, and then you have, some people that hang out by Safeway, and you're like, oh, geez, that's rough. But it's kind of like your circle versus other circles, and sometimes they overlap, and it's, you got to find that anywhere. But
how's the basketball coaching going?
I'm done. Never going back. Never going back. It was great. I was telling Brandon as we were driving around that like one of the reasons or one of the things that I miss or that I don't miss most about coaching is like being up here for the Diamond tournament and driving around half the girls basketball team, and it's cold outside. There's an inch and a half of ice on the road, and we got this rental vehicle, and they got kids singing Taylor Swift or whatever stuff they're on there. Coach, hey! It's going crazy in there, and I'm just trying to like not skid into the vehicle in front of me or going to the mall, and then just like keeping tabs and just making sure, okay, there's who's following these kids around. It's big city, and there's sometimes these kids are somewhat naive, so you never know what you're going to encounter. So I don't miss that at all.
Too much pressure, man.
Too much pressure. You're gone a lot, and then you're up here, and we had an instance we were staying at the is it Diamond Center? Is that the hotel right next to the
the Diamond Center itself?
Yeah. So we got back from a game late from, I don't know if it was state or the Diamond tournament, and like the homeless person walked in and was just kind of like obviously under the influence of something, and was just kind of like walking his way toward a couple of our girls, and so like me and another assistant coach like walked over there just to make sure that there was a buffer, but like they don't need that sort of stuff. So I ice skated once at the Diamond Center, which was pretty fun. The kids were all laughing at me. They weren't allowed to skate because they were going to get in trouble. So I was like, well, on your behalf, I will ice skate. And they all laughed at me because I'm horrible, just terrible at ice skating. Horrible. Like Happy Gilmore-esque. But without the hockey skill. It's just atrocious.
Did you put on the green figure skates they got over there?
I don't know what color they were, but it was bad.
The one size fits all.
And of course, there was like a fetus that was just going around super fast and like making fun of me. I'm like, gosh, dang
Skating
it.
backwards and crossovers.
Yeah, look, well, you have nowhere to fall. It's not going to hurt. Like me, it's going to hurt. There's going to be some distance to fall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
tree coming down.
Yeah, I miss a little bit of it. It's a nice way that you can kind of get the best out of kids and yell at them, and it's cool to see that growth. But I'm done with coaching.
Yeah, I was thinking there had to be some really good values and like life lessons.
Yeah,
from the experience, or else you wouldn't have kept doing it. I mean, you kept going back.
Yeah.
Year after year, you probably were like, "Yeah, I'm not going back next year," and here I am.
Yeah, I think up until the end, I was like, I'm in it, and I was like, ooh, I'm not really sure. And so as soon as you're not sure, you got to get out,
okay.
Especially with that because the kids tell.
Yeah.
If you're halfway into experience, you're not really there. So I was like, man, if we're going to be going on all these trips, if we're going to be going to Fairbanks and if we're going to go to Anchorage and sleeping in hotels and it's best that I'm fully there. So, and I was just the assistant coach too. So the varsity head coach was very invested and very diligent. He was so good. And he did great afterwards. It wasn't like he really needed me, but
yeah.
So it was fun.
I've been enjoying your house videos.
We talked about that.
The house videos?
I've been enjoying them a lot.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
Oh, for the people listening, the Instagram is Alaska Lund is your personal one.
Yeah.
And then the _Mediocre _Alaskan.
Yeah. I doing two of them is just, I'm like, what am I doing? I don't want to do I got to
manage two of those damn things.
Yeah. Well, for you, it's just one. half of one.
He doesn't do
even
none.
do
He
Yeah,
just
just do
don't even
it.
do
That's
it.
too
These
much.
guys, man.
Yeah.
If they post, it's a miracle.
I think I'm about to just make the image the only photo, and then there'll just be no posted.
Just pin it. Just repin it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Set a timer so that you make another
I'm going to
post.
set an alarm for 9:30 tomorrow morning after our meeting, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Well, it was an interesting place to build a house because Southeast Alaska, people were, when I posted a couple things on YouTube, people were looking at, because you don't have to bury the foundation. You have to dig way down, down south in lower 48, you have a basement like for tornado, protection. And then also just you have a basement, whereas you don't dig down in the muskeg or there's bedrock. So you don't do that there. You don't bury the foundation. You don't have to, according to code. You don't deal with permafrost. You don't deal with any of that sort of stuff. So just that was an interesting build factor. And then telling people about how the fact
Is it on pilings?
You just build the foundation is just laid above the surface, and then you put 6 to 8 inches of gravel kind of around it afterwards, but you don't have to dig it down into there. So you kind of lay the foundation, and then everything kind of comes up. You put a slab in for your garage, but then all the materials have to come from Washington. So we had to figure out ways to get as much material as we could in each container, so that we weren't, let's ship the doors up in one container, and because you're paying for so much. So if you have to pay for the whole container, you have to really plan. So my builder was great about this first container. We're going to get all this. We got the framing package, and then the container we had all the insulation. Had, throw some doors in there. This that. So that meant we had to store the doors and move them 7 or 8 times.
Yeah.
But it was just that much better to make sure that we didn't have to pay for a whole another shipping container coming up. So I think. We've paid upwards of $16,000 to $18,000 in just shipping. So, I wanted to kind of tell that story of building the house, just because it's so interesting to people who are builders or are building a house. Just to kind of stuff to look at and think about. And there was one post I made that we put the insulation up, then we're going sheetrock on top of that, and someone asked about a vapor barrier where you put up a sheet of plastic in between, and like. That was the old technology. The new technology is that what happens is that between the outside and that sheet of plastic, that's where everything
The vapor actually builds.
That's where the vapor builds, and so you get so much more of the black mold. And so people who are the old school, you put the plastic up, we're like, "Where's your vapor barrier?" And the exterior and the sheetrock, and then the paper on the insulation is enough of a vapor barrier. That's what you use as it, but then it's able to breathe enough that you're not just going to trap in moisture and you're going to get mold. So that's the new technology. And so that was another interesting thing to look into. But of course, you post anything on Facebook and it's like, well,
Don't do that.
Oh, actually,
you're not going to want to do that. Yeah.
But it was kind of a cool thing to share. And just because Ketchikan's pretty unique, but so.
What about the building and all that rain? Dealing with all those materials, and has everyone got a metal roof?
Trying to keep it dry.
We went with asphalt shingle.
Okay.
Just because you don't hear the rain
the
as
pattern?
much. Yeah, and then there's ways that you can get the little, I don't know what they're called, but to prevent the snow from sliding off. But even if you do have those, there's a chance you're going to just rip out the gutters. So for sound purposes and everything else, we just went with the asphalt shingle, and it's been nice. What do you guys have here?
A mix.
Yeah.
I had a metal roof on my old house, and the snow slides, even with those snow stoppers, were brutal.
Yeah.
Like kill kid type shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wondered about that part, like the danger that creates.
Oh yeah, it knocked my whole back deck off the house in my old house.
Oh, it slid off and grabbed it and just ripped off the.
Yep.
Fuck.
Even with the snow stoppers on the front, though, they had more. Like I don't know, like how many you're supposed to have, like per square area. Whatever it is, 1 per square foot or something. I don't have no idea. But the back of the house had way less than the front. Yeah.
Is the house done?
It's done. We've been in for about 2 months.
Done.
Yeah.
You have a picture on your page? Is it on? Is it on your personal?
I think I did a YouTube of it, but yeah, I think there was a snow
Oh,
photo.
it was a YouTube. What? How can you search it up? Jeff Lund's crib.
Cribs by Lund.
Is it under your mediocre?
On-Step Media. I changed it to On-Step Media just in case I decide to do more like media type stuff. But yeah, I posted a picture that was meant to kind of be the house build is done. There was a bunch of snow around.
Dang, is that fat bear right there?
Oh, this one here. Oh yeah, see, yeah, I watched it. Yeah, this is the one I watched.
That's the number 2. Actually,
let's watch this. It was cool if we watch this video.
That fat bear, that was last year's fat bear that my buddy Ryan
they passed on?
also didn't shoot.
It looks like the same bear.
It's a big bear, but my buddy, he does.
Oh, you got the dry cavern
has
thing?
a bigger noggin. Dude, that thing is legit.
Bro,
Let's pick one
that
up.
shit's in the back of my truck, dude.
What is that?
I might have to stay there.
That's the sagebrush.
The sagebrush
Cavern.
dry. Remember I was telling you I bought that bag?
Yeah,
You
is that
didn't get
you'll
the
see it when
you
we
didn't
get the
get the one
gold
with the
can.
double zips, did you?
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh,
I got the same
that's
exact
the
bag.
sagebrush dry bag. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
the
right-
duffel style.
How big is that one?
I have both the alpaca rafts, the paddles, waders, boots, and some other stuff. The only reason I didn't keep packing was because I didn't want it to get over 50 pounds. Is this what happens when your guest is watching the? You just keep
you got
going
it.
back
Yeah,
with
but
it.
you
Next thing you know, you're right next to me.
Yeah.
just swing that on back.
Yeah, so that was a huge pain because the utilities weren't stubbed out. The water sewer was
It's
not
modular?
stubbed out down the driveway. The driveway is off to the left there. So we had to go underground here, but we couldn't get to the depth needed to get below the freeze line on that because this is all fill right here. The end of the pad is like right here. The rest of it is just fill from a different lot. So you couldn't get an excavator there to dig down deep enough, and so we had to go Arctic pipe above that. So it's 75 feet to the edge, 75 feet down the slope, and that pipe is so unbelievably expensive. It was like $10,000 for those pipes.
Or do they have like heat trace in them? Or?
Yeah, they got heat trace. I mean, they're pretty awesome, but it was just so expensive to do that.
What's heat trace?
It's like heat tape, but it's
gotcha.
yeah. You have your underground or your under the house stuff that's not like industrial grade, but the stuff that's for exterior use is much better. So, yeah, this is the almost done. I think there's a finished one.
Looks
There's
good.
me kind of walking around there. Yeah, we built the lean-to on the side to have a boat that could have the rods up or the antennas up.
Yeah.
So it's plenty big to kind of keep that dry.
It's well documented. I enjoyed watching it. And just how you're talking about the doors.
Yeah, kept moving the doors. And then it's weird, like you take pictures all around the house as you're building. That way you know where the lines are, and that way you know where the electricity is. And so if you're drilling any holes later, you kind of know where stuff is.
Oh, that's how you do that?
Oh, there's
Yeah.
those doors.
There
The
it
doors
is.
moved them a lot.
Did you ever scratch them moving them?
I think dinged it a little bit. And just to be clear, like my wife and I did very, very little. We did the insulation. We moved some stuff. We did the painting, did a whole bunch of that sort of stuff. But all this stuff was done by professionals. We weren't like Googling how to wire the house or do any plumbing or anything like that. So, but you can cut out costs just by being available in the evenings to clean up afterwards. So that the way the electrician doesn't have to sweep, it saves 15, 20 minutes a day over the length of the job. You're saving a couple $100, and if you apply that to everything, you paint the baseboard yourself, you do a lot of the hauling yourself, you're just available. It really helps to minimize some of those costs. Do the insulation yourself, which is a huge pain. So
Damn, what project.
Yeah, it looks good.
I like how you put lots of windows in there, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of daylight.
a heat pump is great, works as a dehumidifier and super efficient. We
Heat
went,
pump?
Yeah, went up a little bit in that. So it's a little bit bigger than we might need, but it just runs so stinking efficient. So it's definitely a good way to heat the house.
Satisfied with it?
Oh, I love it.
You guys are on
Unbelievable,
oil
yeah.
down there?
What's that?
You guys are on oil?
No, it's electric. So
Is there a dam down there?
yeah, we got a couple little hydro plants, and then if things get hairy or something like that, or the water gets too low, then they go with a diesel generator.
What's the megawatt or kilowatt hour?
Not sure.
Old stat guy here.
You're going back in history. Yeah, that was.
That's back in
that was
history?
the beginning. Yeah,
Okay.
that's the. So you just like flattened out the pad, improved the pad, and then
It looked like a nice dry day there.
we put in the stubbed out the pipes so that way we could put the foundation on top and we wouldn't have to wait for that trench to get
Oh, I
dug
see
out.
what you mean
But,
now.
Yeah, so it's all
Okay.
on top, and then you just fill in some gravel to about the top of that. But it's mostly for aesthetics, and so that you don't like you want it built up a little bit so no water can get underneath. But yeah, so we got everything in 3 shipments from Lower 48, which saved a ton of money. So that was huge. And
Wow.
my buddy Rob did most of the work. He had one guy who'd helped him on a house before, but another kid was just pretty green to the whole thing.
Damn, April to June, that went quick.
Yeah, he crushed it. He crushed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you're all in there, huh? Fully locked in?
Yeah, it's great. Loving it. Our own noise, our own mess. It's all just on your own terms, which is so nice. So
Yeah.
There's no HOA? Homeowners?
there is. We can't have chickens.
Oh.
There was a minimum build, which was, I think it was 1,700 square feet of living space. Other than that, that's about it.
No chickens. What's up with that?
They're loud and annoying, apparently.
Oh.
So it's too bad. But there's a rooster down at the bottom of the hill, just across the street, so not in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
But we get to hear it all the time.
Oh, sure.
So, it's pretty much like we got them there.
Yeah, it seems like that contradicts everything because
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just across the road. If they were within our neighborhood, then they'd have to adhere. But,
Yeah.
whatever.
damn, them bastards get up early, like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning too.
Yeah, this one I think is in There's just down the road a little bit. Someone burns some like real toxic stuff, like they're burning tires
Oh,
daily.
shit.
So that rooster's a little off.
Ooh.
Oh,
It's a little kind of when it wants to, when it feels like it, kind of starts getting belligerent about 2 PM. So it's just kind of, all right, well, let's not make fun of him because he's probably got some issues. Poor rooster.
Mental illness is a serious issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Talking about the gear stuff, you're talking about the sage dry brush stuff. I mean, you guys just battle that water
Yeah.
like nonstop. What's like some of the faves?
Um,
What have you found that works? How's that tipi going?
the seek outside, right?
I wish. My buddy Ryan has one. I haven't bought one yet.
Okay.
So, but it's so awesome. It's so nice. We hiked it up a mountain once, and it just when you can get dry or you can get warm, or when you're waiting out the fog and it's raining, you're not in a small tent. When you're just in there, it's horrible. So you have the seek outside, and you can get warm and dry. You have space. You can stand up. You can stretch. You can relax. You can eat. It's just so much better. The early season spring bear hunt is great to have one of those. Again, they're so light, and if you're going out there for a spring bear, so you're taking a boat or a skiff, so you're not worried about having to pack stuff. You're not limited in space. You can just get after it. So, rain gear, I love the Grundon's bibs, and the Grundon's I got a quarter zip, which is really nice. It locks in the heat, so it's stinking hot. But I also have a full on zip down. It just you're going to get wet either from sweat, which will evaporate better because your body temperature is higher, or you're going to get wet from the rain. And if you get soaked because you're not wearing waterproof stuff, that's not going to dry out. It's not going to evaporate because you're just cold. So I'd rather be wet from sweat, and you can regulate that. Mm-hmm. You just sit down, especially with like the bibs that they're kind of open. So at the bottom you get some ventilation, some air going in there. So just stay hydrated. But I like the bibs on this really sloppy, messy. Not the Alpine because you're just hiking too much. But Grundon's is great for most of the year fishing, hunting, and then Alpine. Just go with I have what are the pants? Outdoor research pants, and then a Stone Glacier jacket. But it just rains and rains and rains and rains. You're going to get wet, so it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. What's the boots you running?
I got a pair of Crispies, which I'm wearing right now, which are pretty great. They were very waterproof up until
They weren't?
Yeah.
Like all boots.
It's like when you're walking in the muskegs, it's like walking on a wet sponge, and there's no way that you're going to keep those dry. If you are doing a little creek crossing, and as long as you're in and out of the water pretty quick, you're going to be fine. But just 4 hours on a sponge, a wet sponge, like water is going to get in because there's no break from it. You know, it was wet or it's getting rained on. Like it's just constantly in the wet. So it's gonna leak a little bit. So
Have you tried the Safeway bag?
I have not tried the Safeway bag.
Have you
The
found
old
like
Safeway plastic bag?
like a good actual like rubber style boot that works good in the muskeg and you can hike in? That was one thing that we were struggling with.
There's a lot of people who just go with the extra toughs.
Yeah.
And you just run those Alpine, whatever. Grundon's boots are pretty good too. I know a couple people who use the corked extra toughs on Alpine hunts. Because down there we don't have a lot of that shale or that scree. We have a lot more just kind of carpeted Alpines. Once you break free of the timber, it's pretty stinking slick, but it's vegetation. So you're going to have some grab with either with spikes or with spiked boots. So it's just kind of what you get used to. And so if the program that you learned was extra toughs, you just deal with no ankle support.
Yeah.
And
I'm surprised they haven't made one.
Well, we found that one pair. Remember, we brought them up on the podcast like 2 years ago. It was like one pair that was had laces all the way up, and they were a rubber boot.
So you can get some ankle
You guys
support.
remember that?
I know that.
Yeah,
Like, there's
but it was like a billion different laces. You
Like
know,
the goth
like,
style?
It was like like very goth style, like 90 different eyelets on each side.
I
Yeah.
want to say like LL Bean makes
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't LL Bean. It was like a famous boot manufacturer, but there's nothing in between. You know, like I mean, like just think about like the evolution of snowboarder ski boots. Like they've gone to the drawstring or like just better clamping. It's like there's got to be something, and we all need it. You know, the demand's there. We're ready. We're ready for like that blend of extra tough meets like Scarpa, you know?
Yeah,
Like, when's it coming?
Yeah,
you
the
know?
Scarpa tough.
Yeah, Scarpa tough.
That's what we need. Scarpa
Yeah, you
tough.
kind of just, I mean, your mentality going out is different, knowing that it's going to most likely be wet.
Yeah, and I think most of the hunts down there are just a lot of times we do day hunts or overnighters, 1 or 2 nights, and so you know that you're back in 2 days.
Just gut it out.
So when you guys are talking about 8 to 10 day hunts and you're soaked for that long, it's a little bit different. But there is a chance that maybe the storm breaks, so you can stay in the tent. Like it's a little bit different. But there, it rains for a while. Not that it can't rain for a long while up here too. But
Oh no, but I mean,
the hunts are a lot shorter. You can access the territory, whether it be mountain goat, bear, or deer territory. You're getting there so much quicker, so you don't have to do the 8 to 10 dayers. So that makes a big difference too. That you can just gut it out. Like I'm soaked, but I can just keep moving, knowing that I can just go down the mountain and get back to the truck. So if I sit, I'd get hypothermia, but I'm not gonna sit. Just keep moving, and I can still hunt effectively.
They might need like the vacuum seal.
I like
that
it.
Right
watertight
to the gator,
up to
dude.
the knee.
Yeah, or just to your foot, and then your foot goes in. And the bag has a five toe.
Are you talking like a one-time
toe
use
bag?
sock? It's just like,
Yep.
Yeah. I like it, dude.
then you
I
got
know
all that
some-
shit around.
Someone does, those wading socks, the guard socks that you put underneath wading boots.
Sealskin?
It's
Yeah, we
like
use
the
that.
neoprene guy.
Walk them dry.
That's
We're huge
You'll
fans
walk
of
'em
the
dry and
wading
sick
socks.
into
I mean,
our
we
Ketchikan.
use them a lot fishing. Like I fish in shorts a lot
Yeah.
with those, and so does like this crew that we float some rivers with, and it's pretty wonderful. But I would not want to walk all day.
I
And
know.
those, like not outside
you
of the river,
don't get the fit that you would want.
No.
and your foot
It's
will
just
be
too much padding.
sweating. It's
But now that
awesome.
sealskin has come out with a lot of newer, like, because before also like with the waterproof gloves, they're always like, you can't
Yeah.
grab anything. Yeah. But now, like I showed you those sealskin gloves that I have that are
awesome.
just like the mechanics gloves.
Yep.
So they have the dexterity and
Yeah.
you're able to like still bend and grab stuff and use your phone, but
Right.
still be like totally waterproof.
Right.
And I think that maybe they're leading towards like that real like sock that you can hike in that's
Yeah.
still waterproof.
Yeah.
Yeah, like almost like a Gore-Tex sock.
Yeah, but that's
We're
like thin and not gonna
Thin
like,
and also like breathes. You
Yeah.
know?
Do you guys ever think about the ideas that people are shouting at your podcast right now?
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's like in the
their
future
car.
when this is
yeah.
released, like someone out there from Ambler has a really good idea that I don't know about right now.
Yeah.
Please comment.
Yeah, I think
As
a lot
long
of
as it's
people are like
courteous.
that
Yeah.
Safeway bag. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've done that.
Yeah.
That was the
Yeah,
trick when I was. You want
yeah.
waterproof boots? Okay, Danielle.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Every river
Put
we
the bag
crossed
in the
sheep hunting
boot.
was
The bag
put-
is in the boot when you're on your foot in the boot.
That's right.
Yeah.
Was
Like
like,
it's actually going to be watertight.
we had the contractor bags and
Those are
duct
never
tape to cross rivers.
Yeah.
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 Well, now with these like vacuum seal, like you just bring the little thing, you just be tight, tight.
Perfect. You're good.
Portable
Go,
vacuum
go.
seal.
We need
Yeah,
pack
4
back,
seconds.
dude. Come
Just
on.
give me a
We need
pack.
McKinnon and pack back to come through with the
The pack back socks.
yeah,
The sheep hunting backpack
yeah. Just
weighs 1 ounce.
He's in Cabela's now.
yeah,
I
man.
mean,
Oh,
the
that's
big
cool.
time.
Yeah. Nationwide?
Bass
Yeah,
Pro
that's
and
cool.
Cabela's.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
Saw that on
Yeah, that was a good episode
Instagram.
too.
It was
Like
badass.
that one. Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
It's cool to see a guy make it all the way
Yeah.
into the real industry shit
Yeah. Big,
Oh,
big
yeah.
And
time.
then stay here.
and stay
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we've had some, but they left.
Yep. They're no longer Alaskans.
Oh, they aren't.
He traveled. He travels a
Kyle,
lot.
you're out, dude.
Man, I missed his party this weekend. Man,
Oh man,
was
good.
it? Was
It
it?
was, it was like
Was it cracking?
It sounded fun.
It was cracking.
It's just we had kids,
It looked
man.
like a rager.
Yeah, I left early. Good thing. Probably,
I saw you
probably
in the
best
picture.
Probably in best interest. I left pretty shortly after
I was like,
that.
hey, can I bring kids? And I was like, no, I'm not going to bring kids to that party.
It was
Oh,
pretty
no.
mellow though.
Were
It
there
was-
kids?
Was it?
No, no
Yeah,
kids.
exactly. Exactly.
But it was pretty chill.
Yeah.
It was because it's such a big area.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed kind of spread
Where-
out.
was
Like
it
if they
a-
would have
was it
had
a-
it like where we had the meat party, it would have been like scracking.
Was it a venue?
It was at Elite.
Oh. Okay,
And
Billy
then,
Billy hosted it.
Guy with Giordano Pizza was there, right?
Mhm, Gaetano.
Gaetano Pizza.
Yeah, he makes a good
Who?
pizza.
Yeah, he does.
Who catered? He catered.
Yeah,
He catered. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, he did good. He had DJ, old school DJ
No,
James.
I felt bad. I was like, damn. When does he actually go?
I think he's gone. I think he left
It was
the
either
6th.
Tuesday or Thursday.
I think he left yesterday.
yesterday. Yeah. Okay.
Oh,
What would it take for you guys to leave Alaska?
Oof.
next winter.
Nope.
For
Oh,
how
no.
long?
Like,
For how long?
change residency. You would get a Nevada driver's license or wherever. Where would you
Oh,
go,
no
and
way.
what
I
would it
wouldn't-
take?
I wouldn't do that.
For how long would we have to leave?
What
You
would
have
it
to leave for, let's say, half a decade, 5 years.
take? 5 years.
I go to Texas.
I would.
Austin.
I go to
I mean,
Canada.
that'd probably be a desirable.
Well,
spot.
why Texas? Like you had it in your head, like you might be going.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there a couple times,
Dallas
and
Cowboys fan.
that.
Oh
Okay.
God, that's
Okay.
fucking weak.
You know,
season
I-
tickets.
I like
Emmett Smith's coming
I like
back.
the allure. I like the allure that it's a large state, so you can still have that common feel of jumping in the truck, which I think you can drive long distances, state to state, anywhere, right?
Yeah, when you're on the road system, that is kind of an appeal. But most of the stuff is like private land there.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
can hunt anything there. You can hunt zebra,
Yeah.
ostrich. They got a lot of exotic stuff there. For
Yeah, my
price.
thought was having an extended summer where you could like do lake life stuff.
Yeah.
And it's probably pretty hot.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's pretty hot.
So you have a price.
Yeah, and then there's the access to pro sports. You
Yeah.
know, it's one thing I like really miss living in Alaska, but you can actually travel outside and go catch whatever games you want on miles. I mean, it ends up actually not being that hard to do if you're really dedicated to it.
Yeah.
I like that part. I'd love to go to college football games. I'd like to. There's an allure to experiencing a different kind of like lifestyle than what I'm accustomed to. 40 years in Alaska.
Yeah.
I mean,
I wouldn't leave.
my perfect scenario
It would take
be,
like fishing's done and hunting's done. Like you're not allowed to do it.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to go outside.
Yeah.
I would go like have a sailboat in the Mediterranean or something.
Oh, you
Oh,
meant
dude,
like
you'd leave the states.
Oh, well, I thought you were talking about the states.
Sail.
I mean,
that's what I was. He went.
Oh no, I wouldn't
Mediterranean.
leave Alaska for another state.
Okay.
Hell no. I mean, we already did. We left for college and came back.
Yeah.
We've already done that. Lived in Seattle.
See, that's
I
the
know
thing
how to
too,
fun.
man. Y'all did that. I never did that.
Yeah. Well,
See, I never experienced that, man. I
I
stayed
think
home the
it
whole time.
solidifies. Like you get out. Now I lived in California for a couple of years too, so it was a lot of fun to go to the Sierra Nevada and there's trout fishing, and we went into town a little bit went to a couple Sacramento Kings games, a couple A's games. but there's like a brochure life down there. These are all the things that you can do, especially if you live in the city. But I had friends in LA that like you can't do it every day, and you don't do it every day. Like you can spout off the best of LA, you can spout off the best of the Bay Area or Sacramento, but most people don't do it even regularly because it's too much hassle, too much traffic, too expensive.
That's right.
So busy too, right?
Yeah, like
well, same as here, man. You get these people that live here forever and don't do nothing.
Yeah, it's
like
which is sad because it's a little darker and colder in the winter.
Man, I tell them all the time, like, why do you even live here? Like I have a girl that works for me, and why do you live here?
Yeah.
You don't fish, you don't hunt, you don't camp, you don't ATV, you don't ski, you don't snow, you don't do anything.
You don't go outside.
And you hate the cold and you hate the dark. Like, what?
Yeah. It's amazing.
What are you doing,
when
man?
you
go to San Diego and you'll just at least be happy with the weather.
Totally.
Just as
and if you're an indoor person, then indoor is the same anywhere.
Yeah.
You know? But I mean, it's like if you're getting out 2 or 3 days a week, doing stuff you love outside and connecting with the outside, skiing, playing hockey, you know, whatever it is that you're into, snowshoeing or whatever, you know, the winter is not bad. It's fun. We're excited. Wake up call for all those people. None of those people listen to this podcast, but like Alaska's cool if you do that in the winter. Like we actually are excited for the winter, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Not so much on my end.
No.
Not lately.
You know, Seattle was where I lived after college, and
back in the game.
I'm ready when you are, dog.
it has like a big like outdoor theme. I mean, the home of REI.
Yeah.
Like as like someone who goes outside every day, it is impossible to get outside there. Outside of like the single track mountain biking, which they like did a long time ago, and it's like embedded in these like weird easements in the city, and they did an outstanding job for a concrete jungle. Like if you want to go on a hike, like that in no traffic is like 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
Like you better leave at 1:30 from work to go on this hike. You know, it was just fucked up.
Yeah. Because then you get rewound up. You go to I remember going to Yosemite when I was in California, and 2.5 hours to get there, and like traffic getting in there, you know, wait, stop and go for the last hour and a half, or actually probably not less, probably like half hour getting into the park, and then you're there, you park, you go on an awesome hike, beautiful, unmatched views, because Yosemite is like no other place. But then you look at Half Dome, there's nothing like that. It's beautiful. It's unbelievable. Then you get back to your vehicle and you drive home, and you get rewound up with 2.5 hours of traffic again. So it's like, what did I do? It's like a net zero. So it's pretty cool. It's unlike anywhere else, but man, here it's a lot more beautiful. I am a little bit jealous of the winter sports that you have, because we don't really get the snow to have a lot of those things. We get a lot of the rain. We'll get snow.
I need some new rain games.
Yeah, rain games. So what are rain games?
Yeah.
Everything
Some
that you
rain
do,
activities.
except for in the rain. Yeah,
You could be the founder of the World Rain Games, man.
yeah. It's just so gray. I remember coming up here for the basketball tournaments in like January, so at least you can see the sky and the sun. It's blue. It's cold. To a tournament in Fairbanks, same thing. It's -30. At least you can see blue sky. At least there's some sun. Down there, when it's just gray for 2 or 3 weeks, you're just kind of dragging.
Yeah.
Sun never really gets up. It's just kind of, and then goes back to sleep. Just gray and dark and cold. And it's just a different cold that kind of sits into you and it gets into your marrow, because you can't put on a puffy jacket. It's just going to get soaked and you're going to get cold. So you can put on a lot of clothes, but it's just sloppy.
Yeah.
But
Is there like a month that's blue down there?
October sucks the worst, but it's hunting season, so it doesn't suck the worst.
Yeah. But in terms of like bluebird and like getting some sun.
Yeah, where's a
No, I
window?
thought you meant
Where's
like
a
blue
window?
as in like it was really depressing. Like October sucks. February sucks.
I think you meant the
January
opposite of
sucks. July and August tend to be pretty good. And we can have some nice streaks. We had a really nice May. It was super, super warm. I was able to enjoy that from inside my classroom.
Nice.
So I would just kind of stare out the window while the kids were taking tests.
Wearing
Like,
sandals.
there it is, kids. Look at the outside. It's blue and sunny, and you can't have it, but neither can I.
No,
So,
we're all stuck here together.
yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, what do you hate worse? You know, I'd rather endure the gray and the rain than I would the traffic, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You know, you can't get outside, or you know, it's a big ordeal to get out somewhere, and it's just going to be crowded. So yeah, man, give me the rain. it's fine.
I think that's kind of back to what your employee.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why do you live here? Well, it's because it's quieter. So she could go do that life in Southern California and battle the traffic just to go do anything.
But there's on a million places. I mean, there's towns outside.
I mean, I guess
there that's just as
the one
beautiful.
thing that is really truly realistic is when you do go outside and you go to an airport in a city and wherever your logistics are, and you come home, you're like, whew. Like my commute to work for 7 minutes in traffic, where you're like, oh, goddamn. Even today I was talking about it. We were on Spinard. I'm like, oh, summer traffic is really set in. Because, I mean, it did feel like it took us forever to get from the airport to the hotel. Because I thought his hotel was somewhere else. I was like, oh, well, it's not here. Anyway, took the long cut. But I had to, like, reference back to what real traffic is and what real busy is, what real crowded is. And that shit ain't shit, what we deal with. Like, your 5 o'clock commute that might take you 28 minutes when it normally takes you 17, and that 10 minutes just feels so excruciating.
Oh, yeah.
It's not really that big a deal.
No.
You know?
Speaking about teaching high school stuff, they're going to change the times of school start dates here.
Right.
To
Again?
what?
Have you heard this?
No, what is it?
Didn't they already change it?
It's going to. They've
It's
already
starting
voted.
to
It's already
fall.
set. It's just not going to start till 2024.
Oh, okay. Like first semester.
So
2024.
now high school doesn't start till 9:30, and on Mondays it doesn't start till 10:30.
Yeah, 10:30. Yeah.
So much bad.
Like,
So much bad. I think there are a couple things that are. We talked earlier about how adults are trying to make decisions that are going to help kids. So I think these sort of decisions made by administration are meant to attempt to help, but sometimes what we try to provide isn't really probably what they need. If kids are stressed out because there's not enough time to do their homework and practice, starting school late does not add another hour to the day. It pushes everything back. And so if you're going to get out of school at 4 o'clock or 4:30, that means you have 2 hours of practice. You're at 6:30. You have an hour and a half of homework. That's 8 or 8. You just push everything back.
doesn't
yeah,
fix
yeah, exactly. And the
It's-
idea is more sleep, but since you're pushing everything back,
Yeah, and because
you just play video games till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
instead of 12.
Yeah, it doesn't create, and it's again, it's adults that want to attempt to help, but it comes down to discipline and figuring out how to make this work. And that's one of the most important skills that kids learn at some point is I need to figure out a way to make this work rather than have everything shift in order to fit what I feel like as a 16 or 17 or 18-year-old. I cannot achieve or I cannot function unless every circumstance is catered to me. And that just is not at all what's going to be beneficial in the future.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way to learn and grow if everything is just, so I would be, I would not be in favor of that. As a good teacher, I would say, sure, that is fine. And we will make the most of this, but
Well, and then they're also making the other kids,
PC
the little
response.
kids, go to school earlier.
Yeah. They
So
flip
now-
flop like elementary and high school. pretty
So
much.
now, like the same family that has like an older kid and a younger kid, the younger kid that has to like go to pick up the older kid from the practice and then whatever. Now they're getting their dinner late. Now they're going to bed later, but having to be in school earlier. And like little kids, like the elementary kids need like 10 to 12 hours of sleep at night.
Yeah.
Versus like a high school kid, which is like 8 hours of sleep.
yeah.
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 Is Ketchikan its own school district?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's its own thing.
Yeah. We have 2 high schools in it. One is the main high school. Revilla's another high school, alternative high school the kids can go to, but it doesn't have the reputation of a school that like kids get kicked out of K-High and end up there.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a really good second option for kids. But yeah, going back to the schedule thing, I had a couple of my journalism students that were doing a podcast about summer jobs. And I said, make sure that if your audience is someone down south, make sure that you make it clear the types of jobs that you have, because kids don't have these types of jobs down south. And so when they're talking about how the boats come in, there are 3 or 4 of these kids who work at a lodge. And so the boats come in 3, 4, 5 o'clock. They cut fish for 2, 3, 4 hours, vacuum pack them. And then if the clients are leaving the next day, they have to get them in the freezer and then wake up at like 3 in the morning once it's frozen to then box it, because they can't box it before it's frozen. and then label the boxes, box everything up, and then get it ready for the guests who leave at 6 o'clock in the morning. That is a job that you have to figure out the schedule. You have to make it work. And so if that is what the demand is, if that is a good job for you to have, that's going to make you some good money, you figure out how to make it work. And then you figure out, oh, if I don't like this schedule, I'm going to find a different job, but I have a work ethic to be able to make it work. So if we're saying that kids are incapable of achieving at the high school level, or by moving it back to 10 o'clock, that's what's going to solve the problem, it probably won't. Like an emphasis on, we need to figure out a way that kids, you're going to have to make stuff work. We're going to do everything we can to make it as good as possible, but you're going to have to meet us halfway at least.
Yeah.
You know?
On the fish thing, just curious, is there like, it has to be there for 6 hours, then you know it's frozen?
It depends on how cold the freezers get.
Is there like a touch
chart.
test?
I think
Yeah.
there's a chart, right, on the outside of the freezer for those kids to look at.
Yeah, and some of those freezers are so cold, like if your boots are a little bit damp when you walk in there, like they'll freeze to the bottom. So it's super, super cold. But, I mean, those kids just work their faces off all summer. And there are a couple of kids that I've had that have been kayak guides at 14, 15 years old. So, like, the skills that you're learning, and that's the kid who's willing to do that and deal with people. And high school kids up here dealing with, if you're in the tourism industry, what a great job to have. And you figure out the type of person you want to be, their responsibility that gets stuff done. I think that's great skills to learn. And if we deprive them of the opportunities to learn those sort of skills of, hey man, sometimes things suck and you're going to have to figure it out.
Just be a YouTuber.
Be tough. What's that?
Just be a YouTuber.
Just be a YouTuber. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's
Gamer,
a career path.
YouTuber, Twitcher.
My real summer job.
Yeah, YouTubes. We're gonna see what your trivia game
Yes.
is like here in a
Excellent.
minute. So I hope you were reading on the milk run.
I was,
all the fun facts.
I actually have. Are we still?
Yeah, we're gonna take a real
Yeah,
quick break.
let's
Okay, quick
fade
break.
down.
Okay.
Tailored Restoration, 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Tailored has an emergency response number with trained professionals available to help you at any time, day or night. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Make an appointment today at tailoredrestorationalaska.com. Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience. At Total Truck, you can find brands such as ARE, RSI Smart Caps, Goose Gear, iCamper, Front Runner, Rigid Lights, Rhino Linings bed liners, and everything you need to outfit your truck or SUV. Alaska Overlander provides 4x4 vehicles and expedition trailers, custom modified for Alaskan adventures and outfitted with rooftop tents, fridges, and all the camping and cooking gear you need to start exploring. Visit them at alaskaoverlander.com.
Watch this. See how we're laughing now?
Hit the laugh button.
Hit the laugh button. This thing actually did come with a laugh button, I want to say.
It's like,
What do you record on?
I have a Zoom PodTrack 4, and
Okay.
then 3 Audio Technica headsets.
Okay.
There's a B, whatever, the kind of the standard. If you're going the headset route, what everybody else has.
Oh,
dude, did you do a little like studio setup in the new crib? I mean, did you kind of design a spot?
I just happened to put a bookshelf behind it, so it looks
Like
legit,
ESPN, like some
ESPN style?
ESPN shit? Like,
kind of, and it got some antlers, and then a Buddy the Elf Nutcracker up top there.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah,
You got your brown bear skull in there?
No.
Why not?
I got a shed, and then I got a 3-point that I'm proud of because it was the first, like, I had my face off to get the spot, shot it. It slid all the way down.
Oh, sweet. So you went all the way up
was
for it
just
to go
a
back down where you shot it?
Horrible experience. But yeah, it was the biggest buck to date, and so I have that one in there. It's not my biggest buck, but it's one that I like. So
It was worth it.
yeah, it was cool.
what's the best Instagram name you've heard?
Heard?
Yeah. Because you just said the.
Um,
Is there a good one you've seen? Or a boat name?
boat name. There's a lot of puns in the boat game. Some of them are kind of silly. can't think of any off the top of my head. But
Butt stuff.
butt stuff? No, I've not. No.
You didn't see that one down there in the waters?
Didn't see that one.
That's only in Homer, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense.
God, man,
That
the best ones you've ever heard are when they start the Homer King Derby and they announce all the boat names.
They're so
Butt
good.
stuff.
Especially if you know that your boat's going to be announced, that incentivizes.
Oh, you
that.
got to do
So I bet
something
there's
extra.
Yeah. Jack's boat's pretty good. Good name.
What's your boat name?
The Deep Insider.
Okay, that's good.
Definitely not a pun in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, not a pun.
What was the other one that we laughed at out there?
Oh man.
It's like, the butt stuff was definitely a standout, though.
Yeah.
But there was another one that was hilarious.
There was like 3 different butt ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember, man.
Yeah,
The Instagram one is Haley's dude, who's on the show, Haley Bufio, or I can't see her last name.
totally.
Her dude's name is Buck Stuff.
Buck stuff.
Yeah, a little play on that.
Yeah.
Good.
I like
Big
it.
buck hunter, I guess.
Yeah, naming a boat's so tough. I had a
What's
buddy
your
who-
boat's name?
Don't have one yet. It's a skiff.
Did
So
the
I'm not
North-
sure.
did
Like
the North, that doesn't really qualify.
the North
I don't
River
think.
was Eddie, which is the name of.
Oh, that's cool.
Trivia for you, Jack. What protagonist's love interest is named Eddie in a fly fishing book? What's the name of the book?
Put you on the-
EDDY.
Put you on the spot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A river runs through it?
No, The River Why. Have you read that book, The River Why?
No,
it's really,
what's that
it's a
about?
really good one. Really good one.
He kind of like hit half the answer.
I thought the river runs through it because the Eddie seems like
there
a
the
white
river and
trash
the
girl,
flag?
and there's that white trash girl that's always ended up.
Who's
in.
got the
Can't be
tattoo
like-
on her butt? The
Yeah.
love. Yeah, that's that's a great book. Also a great movie. They're pretty different, but they're both stand up pretty good. Yeah, The River Why is a great book about this guy who tries to make his life as good as possible by maximizing his fly fishing, but then finds out that there's obviously more to life and whatnot.
absolutely.
But he meets a girl. He sees this girl who's fly fishing, or she's fishing for steelhead, but she's naked and her name's Eddie, and he can't even talk. It's pretty good. So I named the boat Eddie.
Nice.
But,
I
then
I
like
really
it.
like that. That's pretty cool.
What time frame
book,
was it set?
No, the name Eddie for your boat.
Yeah, it was cool, and
Yeah.
because we used that to go mostly to get the steelhead fishing. That's what we both really love to do, and so it was
Sweet.
like name that to get to the steelhead grounds. The book was I don't know when it came out.
No,
but,
where is it like set? Like what
Oregon.
age?
Oregon, and he's
Like
like
time frame.
19, 18. So it's just like that self-discovery time of your
Yeah.
life when you're like, okay, I've got to find the point in my life. I'm out of high school. His dad he was a writer and a renowned writer. And so he was kind of in his dad's shadow. And so, yeah, it's a cerebral book, but just a really good book. I'm kind of surprised. I'm not disappointed.
Yeah, I've
in
never
it, but it's
heard
a great-
about it. Yeah,
Yeah, The River
sounds
Why.
great.
It's a great book.
The River Why, there it is.
River Why.
I was trying to hit a boat with the name Chumstain.
Chumstain?
That's a good one.
There you
man.
go.
That'll be
Yeah.
your boat, man.
I mean, it could offend people.
Yeah. So Brandon goes first on this, right?
Always.
I'll
Because
blurt.
there are times when I'm listening to the trivia and there's a number that comes into my head as like a first guess. So I hear the question, I think like, all right, 13,000, and then Brandon says like 42. I'm like, whoa. So he's either like right or way off.
So
based on his
I feel like
guess.
it's a 50-50 shot. I sometimes nail that shit.
So
That's the thing. It's like,
Like
you're either
60%
on.
of the time, I am fucking
Yeah.
right every time.
Yeah.
Well, it's good
like
to know that
Sex
people are
Panther.
in their car or wherever they're listening to and like guessing as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's the fun part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
totally.
there's a natural order because Brandon guessed so fast. So
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
never had to do that. Sometimes I tell people like today, like you're last.
I'm last.
Because
Oh,
Okay.
true.
Okay. So I have
These
the
are
benefit.
these are like set up for your region. So you know
Oh,
you
set
got to
me up
give
for
these guys
failure.
a shot.
Wait,
All right.
by the way, how wide is Iliamna, Brandon? I'm just kidding.
7 miles.
7 miles, yeah. And it was like 42 feet deep or something like that.
That's not 19 miles and 1,000 feet deep.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think we all had
know.
fun that day.
Did you actually think it was 1,000 feet deep?
I didn't think it was that deep. I knew it was really deep because I knew about the Loch Ness monster or something that was in there, the prehistoric sturgeon or something. But 1,000 feet, that's down there.
deep inside her.
It's deep inside it, baby. Yeah. Brian was like, my kids are asking what the boat's name is. I told him, he's like, well, I'm not going to tell them that. I'm like, all right. Well,
when are you gonna,
that's the boat's
when are you
name.
You just tell them it's the deep insider. Like, what does that mean? I don't know. Jack named it.
It's spelled with cider, like C. So it's just like, oh, he's deep in cider. Come on.
Yeah.
And then, like, when they get a little older, then tell them the truth.
It's like my dad makes cider, okay?
Yeah.
It
Is it
says
actually? It's
cider.
not on there though, right? Like
No,
the
it's
name on
not. No, we had to put it on still.
it?
It needs, it's going to be bright orange, though, right?
It's got to be like that double shovel
Yeah.
logo.
Yeah.
No, it'll be orange. And, well, it kind of depends what color we get the Alaska Wild Project logo on the boat. Because I don't want them to clash. And the one I have right now is white. So we have to get a different color one of those first.
Yeah, the white AWP and then the orange
The
deep
clash.
cider. Really? Well, you put it on the side of the boat, right?
I was going to put,
Like on the upper.
yeah, we could do it on the side, I guess. I was going to put it on the back, like where the windows will go across. So it
Well,
splits over the door.
The problem with an outboard boat and the name on the back is you can't read it. So that's why I feel like on an aluminum to
gotta
an
be like on the
outboard boat,
front,
it's
right?
no, on the side and the back.
Oh, the side back.
Yeah.
I was thinking the front.
No, I
I
think
don't know.
like, you know,
What about like
the
right?
back of the boat. It would
Oh.
just be like right here.
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the backs.
Yeah.
You can see it in the water and
But
on the
isn't
trailer.
that where the
and-
name, the
The
actual
Woolridge
name,
is on
their
my boat
logos
right
there?
Oh, that's right. Okay.
So I would think it'd be in the
It'd have to
front.
be forward on yours. Yeah. Okay.
Well, how about you put
Good
it where
point.
you want to put it? On
I
your
will.
boat?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Hit
Or
us
the
with it.
transom, it can go right on the like
You guys
the back.
take the Woolridge off and just put.
Well, what
deep
about right in
insider.
front of the transom, like, because that's like a high back wall.
This was supposed to be trivia.
No,
Okay.
I just heard. I thought I heard taint, so I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, that's I looked at Daniel and I was like,
I thought I heard
that too.
something too in his spiel that threw me off. For a
Where
minute.
is that on the boat? I can guess, but yeah.
Right
Transom.
up in the
Transom.
taint
Transom.
area.
Right below the transom.
That's where the transom is. It's between the outboards and the inboards,
Yep.
or the deck. You know, so you know what I'm saying.
Where the water shoots out of the motor.
Yeah.
Right between.
Sometimes
Right in the
inboard,
middle. It
sometimes
gets
the
wet.
outboard.
Sometimes right there.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Oh,
All right. Ketchikan comes from the Tlingit name for.
Kayak.
Sitka spruce tree.
You guys guessed fast.
Yeah. It's expected now.
I don't know. I should know this one. You set this up for me. You said
Hell yes.
Oh, got it, dude.
Yeah.
Sometimes if I turn this up.
Jeff, are you even from
First city.
Southeast?
I'm from Klawock, and that was the name that the raven would make,
Oh, yeah.
or the sound of
Quack,
Klawock.
quack.
And so
I want a
that's-
raven
they got,
pet.
they got
Little
Klawock.
baby.
Guys, did you guys hear
Check
my
that out.
quack? Did you
Yeah.
hear it just now?
That was good. Yeah, it sounded just like
Shit,
it.
yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Jack, can you do it?
Wings.
No, man, a raven. Come on.
Oh, ka.
Yep.
That's how I do it.
Call them right in.
That is my kids' call. I go ka, and they turn
We do
around.
too in the woods.
There,
Yeah.
mine in high school, like when it was the full party, if you're just like da 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 da, cuckoo, it's like somebody's in distress,
Yeah.
somebody's in
There you
danger.
go. Alert.
You usually
you
that
need
one
to-
at F Street.
You need
Oi.
to run to them.
All
That's right.
right, Jeff. I said kayak. You said spruce tree.
Sitka spruce tree.
First city is because it's the first city on the way up there, salmon capital of the world. There,
3, 2, 1.
city
0.5.
with a river
0.3.
in it.
Boom.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty close. So it means
Oh,
like
shit.
it's named after the Ketchikan
Yeah.
Ketchikan Creek, and so but so the name actually means like the river belonging to the Kitchk.
Yeah.
But then they're saying that Kitchk means thundering wings of an eagle. But yeah,
Oh, yeah,
creek
yeah,
that
yeah.
the river runs through, or
Yeah.
town that the creek runs through it.
Yeah. The traditional lands there's Ketchikan Creek, which is in the
Right.
main spot right there. But yeah, there's
And that's the creek that's named after.
yeah.
Yep.
So it's the creek where the eagle
You
soars?
win. I'll be
But
on the
also
hunt.
the thundering wings. I think I'd heard that before.
It's
But
got to be an eagle, though, right?
yeah,
It's the name for the creek, which is
what did
Ketchikan.
I say?
And then it's
Spruce
thundering
tree?
wings of
Spruce
eagle.
tree. Yeah, it says
Yeah,
spruce tree.
you're close.
The spruce tree's on the bank of the creek. So I was like,
There's
And you
something
can kayak the creek. So we all win.
100-year-old homes now.
All right.
wow,
So-
they're not like falling apart.
What's that?
The 100-year-old homes.
Oh, they're stinking old, and they've been repainted quite a bit. But some of those
Wow.
original homes, it's pretty.
It's more paint than wood now.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
So Jeff here gave the answer. Hopefully you're listening to the
Oh,
next
shit.
question.
Ooh,
So,
no, he
uh,
wasn't listening. He
it's
just said
two
his
I have it in
balance.
my, I have it in my
It's
notes.
2 parts. It's 2 parts. So the first part is what was the first city in Alaska, and when was it incorporated as a city?
Ketchikan, Alaska.
Yep, there you go. You nailed the first one.
In 1861.
Ooh, 1819.
Oh, not old enough. Damn it.
Let's
Come on,
see.
teacher in Ketchikan.
Yeah, I know. That's
This isn't just something that's on the chalkboard on the first day.
first salmon cannery was in Klawock, in Alaska, and that was in the 1870s. So it'd have to be before that. Would you say 1861?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think it
One and a half.
1875.
So it was when the city was incorporated, not when there's like a village.
Oh.
Like Canning Town.
Yeah, I didn't really know what that meant. I was just throwing
That's
it in
when
there.
it's like officially
1907.
Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
1908.
I'm sticking with my date.
All right.
Okay, hit it, Jack.
It was 1900.
1900.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You guys benefited from my
Yes. we did.
very close, well thought out guess.
That was good. That was
That
good.
answer.
One more, Jackie.
I was
Yeah.
paying attention, Jack.
Yeah. Okay. So what island is Ketchikan on, and who and when named it?
That's a 3-part question.
Yeah. Because it's fun.
I'm gonna go with Baranoff after Lord Baranoff, even though I don't think that's right.
Isn't Baranoff the one that Sitka's on?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Now that I think about it, so I'm
I mean,
wrong.
that's a good guess.
So it's not Lord Baranoff.
You're in the right
Area.
region.
Yeah.
Close,
But you got to
close.
keep going. You got to.
I got one more guess.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 parts. So
Oh, okay.
You also have to name. So that was that island that it's on.
Mm-hmm.
And then what year was it named, and then who named it? So the name of the island, who named it, what year?
Ooh, I'm gonna say Russians named it, and I'm gonna say
Why is it
in
gotta be the Russians?
1790.
But you didn't name the island.
I said Lord Baranoff. That was-
Yeah, he named it wrong.
yeah.
Okay.
But I got the
But
other
that
two
was a
right.
good. It is Alaska Island.
Yeah, it's close. I know it's
Yeah.
wrong now that you said the Sitka. I knew that.
I mean, it's just like, it's such a deep question.
There's a.
It's
map right
Super
behind
fun.
it.
It's
Yeah.
super fun, and it's one that
It's
like
one you're
as
gonna
Jeff-
know.
It's another one that I'm gonna miss, even though I live there.
I thought it was awesome because I was like, I didn't know any of
I
this.
feel like I should know the island. I feel like I should know the island name.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's,
I think you said it right. Yesterday's trivia. Starts with the Warrens.
No.
With the off.
That's a whole and it ends in I.
There's 2 vowels in there.
St. Bartlett Island.
That's great, dude.
Good one.
All right. Okay, that's good. That's good. All right. And then the year.
The year.
1782.
Okay. All right.
Referred to as Revilla typically because Revilla Gigado or Revilla Gigado are the 2 pronunciations of it. Revilla is also the name of the alternative high school, or the Revilla Eagles. I believe that Revilla is the 26th largest island
In the United States.
These are
Oh,
all
that's cool.
just different facts to try
I
to
love
cover
it.
up for the fact that I don't know if it was. I believe it was the Spanish because there's a lot of Spanish in there, and there's also Russian influence. So I'm going to go with Spanish. I'm going to go with 1750s.
We were all in the
There you go.
1700s.
You were damn close on the date. It's 1793.
Ooh.
What was your date?
1790, I think I said.
I said
91.
I said 82.
And Jeff gave us the answer, the name of the island. How do you pronounce?
Revillagigedo or Revillagigedo.
Oh,
I've heard them
okay.
both.
Yeah. And then
Everybody
like-
just calls it Revilla. If you're from there, you just say Revilla.
George Vancouver
Ooh.
is the one who named it. So I thought that was
Kind of
interesting.
makes sense.
And from who named it? You said
George Vancouver.
So he's from
like
what?
who like named?
But was he Dutch?
I don't know. We're about to find out.
Or
I'm gonna-
was he?
'Cause we didn't get that right.
Jorge.
British Royal Navy officer?
Yeah.
What'd you say again?
British
British.
Navy
Oh, okay.
Royal. Navy.
Man.
Oh.
So not Spanish or Russian.
Wrangell has flown underneath British, Spanish, Russian, and American flags.
Really?
I think they got all four because you have so much. You got Baranov, Chichikov, Admiralty, but then you have like San Fernando and San Juan Islands down there, and Boca de Quadra obviously is not.
Very Spanish.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see like just across the strait here is it goes from the English name stayed versus the Spanish name. Most of the stuff up here is still Russian, right? Is a lot of the names
Yeah.
right here
Yeah,
Russian?
for the most part.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, Vancouver, that made a lot of sense.
Well, what's Montague? Montague can't be Russian.
Montagu.
Montague. That's
Yeah, that's interesting.
it's like what the hell? Romeo Juliet shit.
Yeah, that is-
Romeo
that is
and
definitely-
Juliet.
Yeah, after
Six on the platter. just
after
like a
Romeo killed Tybalt and got exiled from Verona, he went to Montague Island, and that's where they stashed him until the friar called for him, and then he committed suicide while Julian was
really?
waking up. Yeah,
The friar. We
didn't
met a
realize
friar
that.
the other
Yeah.
night. Blonhimoff. It's a friar, right? Did he say that?
Oh, it was named
He's an
after.
official friar, dude.
family.
So Captain Cook named it in honor of John Montagu, which is
Yeah.
spelled differently. 4th Earl of Sandwich,
oh yeah, the Earl of Sandwich.
one
yeah.
of his greatest supporters.
I wonder
Yeah.
what kind of sandwich.
Have you guys stayed at the Captain Cook before?
Yeah.
A few times.
It's a pretty. It's a.
Is that where
pretty
you're
neat
at?
Space. No.
Oh, I was going to say,
No,
balling,
no.
man. Them bucks is selling.
My mom got me. Mom was
should
a
be
teacher, and she would always come up for conferences. And they would always put him up in the Captain Cook. And so when we were up here for the honeymoon, she got us one night there, and it's a pretty sweet place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Got a
it's
good,
rad.
good workout room, good food, and yeah, it's a nice place.
Yeah, they have a cool bar.
Yeah.
What's the hunting plans this year?
It'll be pretty much done with black bear when I get back down there. So probably just checking out good spots for deer when the opener starts August 1st, and then Abby wants to get a mountain goat. But and if I draw, I'll go down to Wyoming for mule deer. But yeah, just kind of last year was the big year with the caribou on the Hall Road, and then mountain goat, and then deer. So this year's just sticking around.
The goat's a
Southwest.
registration tag. Is that how you guys hunt that?
Yeah, there's a registration hunt. There's a draw hunt that no one will ever draw.
Right.
Um,
But if you want to do a seasonal hunt, you're
yeah,
registration.
You can
hunting.
registration. Yeah,
Is the window tight?
not real tight. It's just the weather windows end up being the problem because you
not a
know,
lot of hunting time.
Yeah, so you got a couple months to be able to do it, but it's like, all right, we got to go out this weekend. And
Yeah, you got to
it's-
fully play the weather.
Yeah. So, if you're trying to get out Friday after school, you can get probably to the base of the mountain. You take your boat to the base of the mountain, hike up, hunt, and then come back down is a lot to ask. So it's kind of try to get all the way up there, up the mountain if you can in one day, hunt the next day, come home the next day. So you're taking at least one day of work off. But that's what we did last year and ended up working out, which was pretty nice. But yeah, it's tough. And then, you might choose your mountain, you get up to the top, and they're on the next ridge. Like, oh gosh, we can't go all the way down and then up the next one. There's just not enough time. So, but yeah, it should be fun.
You guys use calls?
For mountain goat?
Yeah.
No, never have. Is there I don't know.
The dying mountain goat call.
No.
Mine bad at me, dude. I was like, you're an antelope. Like, how did you bah? But it did, dude. I was like, all right.
I've been glassing them and seen them like I can't hear them, but you can see them like open their mouth.
Oh.
I'm like, is he bad, dude?
Dude, it was a straight up bat. Like,
That's funny.
it was a dying bat too. It was pretty sad.
Oh, it's not good.
Yeah.
Oh, like after you shot
It
him
was
back?
like, it was the last breath.
Mortem bomb.
Oh, shit.
Like it died in probably 15 seconds. I could have shot it with a bow. You know, it was close.
yeah.
Yeah.
Beyond the
Kinda
Hunt.
graphic.
Beyond the Hunt by Jeff Lund. A Miserable Paradise. Where can people find the book?
Amazon. You can also go to themediocrealaskan.com. You can order it on there.
Is there some local bookstores that they're going to be around?
Not in Anchorage yet, and if you're in Juneau, you can get it at Hearthside Books. If you're in Ketchikan, you can get it at Parnassus.
Did you bring enough that you could leave some copies at Double Shovel for us to sell?
Yeah, I got a couple there for you.
Yeah.
And then I can always restock as well.
Yeah.
Barnes & Noble, if you order online, I don't think they have them like in stock, but
Why not? Why don't they have it in there? I mean, they have so many other great Alaskan books.
It's tough to sell outdoor books. There's an audience publishing them too. If you make a pitch to a publisher, like if you're Cam Haines, you're going to sell a book. If you're Steve Ranella, you could have a 500-page book with empty pages and a crayon that says Meat Eater, and they'd sell thousands of copies for $50 each. But if you're unknown, I mean, if you only have a column, it's really hard to pitch that because it's a lot of so it's small market. So. Even getting to a publisher is tough, and then also getting into a bookstore because the bookstore has got to make an investment and hope they can move. If they can't move it, then it's not a good.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of if there's demand, then they can stock some. But
Well, I asked the question because they're good books.
thanks.
Yeah.
You can do a live read at the show.
No, absolutely not. No.
Story time with Jeff.
I would sit there with my legs crossed.
No,
I'd be all stuck after 2 hours. Like,
no, it's I don't know. There are two things that I don't. When you walk into a bookstore or a grocery store or something, you see someone who's sitting there doing a book signing, and I just sometimes there's a line and there's excitement, there's a buzz, and people show up. But then there's sometimes the poor guy who's just kind of, please come talk to me, please buy my book, and I'm like, oh man, I don't like that. I like to be up. I like talking, meeting people, mixing up. I don't want to have to be glued down to this chair, and who do I sign it to? And I just like to chat with people, meet some people, and buy the book if you want. But if you want to talk sheep or deer or whatever too, then that's totally fine too. No pressure. Like you go into a store and Girl Scout cookies are being sold. You feel like a horrible person if you walk by because they're so friendly. Yeah. They're just trying to help out. You want to buy some? No.
I just like to knock the shit down when I walk by.
Yeah, pick it up. Yeah.
I don't know. They're legally selling drugs and shit.
Oh, man, it's so good though. So good. So no reading either. I don't know. I probably should at some point, but I don't know. It just feels kind of weird,
awkward.
So yeah,
yeah. The Mediocre Alaskan. That's the podcast. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, everywhere you get. You don't do the video version yet, right?
No. Especially not with the solo ones.
Yeah.
Just looking
maybe
at
I should. Maybe only with the solo ones. I'll set up a camera right here.
3 angles.
Speak to it. Yeah. Just like here's me.
Want to see your expressions.
Here I am.
Yeah.
There's my bookshelf behind me.
Yeah.
Just full of your own books.
Yeah. Just full.
It's just
all of them.
Just 2 books.
Yes. Yeah.
They're all looking this direction.
Yeah.
Cover front.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Real quick, Jeff. I have asked this question before, but I'm asking the question on this show. Where did you come up with the Mediocre Alaskan podcast? I love it.
It was 2017, and it was one of those. Like everybody's coming up to Alaska, and like I'm such a badass. Like I went to Alaska, and then also I live in Alaska, so I'm better than just kind of a friendly jibe or a friendly joke about, hey man, I'm an ordinary guy. Like I'm still figuring stuff out. So I wanted to kind of provide that angle. Just kind of like a joke. But now it's almost bad because we've kind of accepted this mediocrity as part of our like rallying cry. And so it's like, oh dang it. It's kind of,
it's not what I meant.
Kind of the opposite of it now, like kind of making fun of myself is what it was. And now I'm not advocating for that at all. So, but I think if people listen to the podcast, they know that, I get after it. I'm no, upper amazing hunter or anything like that, but I get after it. And I think I tell the story and represent a lot of us Alaskans who, get after it. We have a lot of fun. You know, we're competent, and we're not trying to be like number one on a power rankings list or anything like that. So, but yeah, it was fun. Same thing with Miserable Paradise. Just kind of, this is the story, man. You live in Southeast Alaska, it kind of sucks in an awesome way. So,
yeah,
I quote that all the time, man. Like
Miserable Paradise.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's good. You have any beef with the average Alaskan podcast?
No, there was a
But the high end Alaskan podcast.
Who's that?
I don't
The
know.
bougie Alaskan podcast.
the bougie.
That's the dude that is laughing at Mediocre Alaskan podcast.
Wait, the bougie. Yeah,
His nose up in there.
the bougie cast. We
Got the finest cheese.
from Unalaska.
It's just that F Street with the cheese.
Yeah.
I only kill 40-inch rams
Like, I
and
wouldn't
shoot
eat that.
70-inch
Yeah.
bulls.
Yeah.
I drew Chugach every time.
Here's my book of comments from YouTube. Actually.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Jeff, thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, thanks
it's
for
been a
having
long
me.
time
Great work,
wanting to get
dude.
you in here, and thanks for doing the book thing and providing this quality content for people to Alaskans to absorb and people all over the world to absorb. I think that you're doing tremendous work with what you're doing and just kind of showing people your lifestyle and what it is that you're doing on a daily over there. So thank you for what you do.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Really like
Yeah,
you.
man.
Like being on.
I wanted to say thank you just for the, being such a big supporter of us. And we came in and you were doing your thing and you just hit us up and embraced us and like welcomed us with open arms in the Alaskan podcast space. When in some ways, maybe somebody might do the complete opposite, but I feel like it was just meant to be that we were all supposed to be here today and building a relationship and a connection. And it's funny because it's all because of a podcast.
Yeah.
Just cool.
Sure.
And thanks for everything you do.
Thanks.
Bro.
Thank
You
you.
do great work.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for having the book release party over at Double Shovel. We're really humbled about that,
Yeah.
and man, really excited to spend some time with you tomorrow.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yep. Thank you, Alaska. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. AlaskaWildProject.com for any merch needs. Barney's, please support our sponsors. That is the best way to support us because they support us. And as always, Alaska.
Stay wild.
Oh, yeah.
You are what I call your overcautiousness. Are you not overcautious when you assume that you cannot do what the enemy is constantly doing?
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives. AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They're the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Snow Pro Arcade, your snow and ice management company specializing in business and residential properties. They know what it takes to keep your property presentable and safe. Give them a call for a free estimate at 280-7098 or visit lawnproak.com. Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th, handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaskan public lands, waters, and wildlife. Their goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping our public lands wild. Stand up today and join BHA at backcountryhunters.org.
Not claim to be at least his equal in prowess and act upon the claim? I say try. If we never try, we shall never succeed. This proposition is a simple truth, and it's too important to be lost sight of for a moment. If we cannot beat the enemy where he now is, we never can. It is all easy if our troops march as well as the enemy, and it is unmanly to say they cannot do it.